It's a great day to talk hockey with Grant McCagg on HabsCast.
Good afternoon, everyone. Fantastic day to compare the Leafs and the Habs, I would think. I think it's well overdue. I know Habs fans over the past, 8 years for the most part, took a lot of grief from trolling Leaf fans who took great joy in the fact that the Toronto were regular season world beaters and finish ahead of them in the standings every year. So, mind you, it didn't end up in a lot of playoff success, did it? The Leafs admittedly had a better regular season team over that period. Had a Hart Trophy winner, Maurice Richard winner in Austin Matthews. So there were some bright spots. They had multiple 100-point scorers, and certainly were better in the regular season than Montreal. It's fair to say over the past 8 years or so, but they never had any playoff success, winning one playoff series. The Habs made it to a final, one more playoff series over that time than the Leafs, and we could always bring that up, or the fact that they haven't won a cup since '67. But Leafs fans, we're still pretty smug, and would this regular season success was just, hey, it was something for them to brag about, right? So now, do me a favor if you're a Habs fan, and most have been pretty good about this because, hey, I mean, scoreboard, right? Since '67, the Habs have won, 10 cups or somewhere in that vicinity, 9, 10. I'd have to count them up. There's so many, you just, at least 8 anyways. 69, 70, 70, 3, and then 4, 7, 8, 9, 8 or 9 cups since the Leafs last won. Yeah, it's been a long time, and yeah, there were some lean years there, but well, as they always say, scoreboard, right? Let's have a look at the standings. Habs are 8 points up on the Leafs. Leafs have a game in hand, but I don't know. Lost 4 of their last 5. 2 points in their last 5 games, while the Habs have 7. Safe to say one's trending in the right direction, while the other isn't. I mean, it's possible. Season's not over yet. Maybe Toronto ends up ahead of the Habs before the end of the year, but it's certainly not going to be a spread like we've seen in recent years, right? The Leafs aren't going to get 108 points this year. Let's be realistic here. They look to be in complete disarray. And I've been stressing this the last few years, especially when Leaf fans were boasting and look how much better we are. We've got Matthews, you don't. Blah blah blah. You keep trading away high picks, and sooner or later, it starts to catch up with you, doesn't it? Like, and the fact is that the Leafs, they've traded away their first round picks in the next 2 years too. So even if they suck, but the thing is that they've still got enough talent that I don't see them finishing bottom 5. And if that's the case, like let's say they're, 8th worst, 10th worst, they have to give up their first round pick this year. I think it was for Brandon Carlo, who's out with injury, which is kind of, that's too bad, eh? But and then they also gave out their 2027 first round pick for Scott Lawton. Now that's top 10 protected. And the way things are trending right now, maybe the Leafs will end up with their with their first round pick in 2027, because there's not a lot a talent on the way up. So they may finish bottom 10 next year. Maybe, and that means they get to keep the pick and then would give up their 2028 pick. But at that point, they'd be friggin' rebuilding. And it kind of sucks when, you know, you're rebuilding, but you don't have a first round pick the following year. So, you know, yeah, maybe next year they get a top 5 pick or something, and that helps. But the quantity of young talent in Toronto right now is safe to say pretty much non-existent. Like, I'm going to bring up just as a, you know, the under 26 depth chart for Toronto and Montreal right now. And it's stark. There's a stark difference, believe me. Let's have a look here. The Leafs under 26 core. And I've graded them, and I mean, you can, you know, you can argue a plus or minus each way, maybe even you know, a B is a C on a few of these, but I think they're pretty fair rankings. And, you know, I admittedly don't know the Leafs organization as well as I do the Habs, but, you know, I do know, I mean, I put out draft guides every year, and, you know, have a fairly good idea of who's a good prospect and who's not. And here's what I came up with for the two teams. The Leafs, Matthew Nyes, I grade him as an A, you know, an A player. Easton Cowan, B plus. Danford, B plus. And I think that's generous. Hildeby, B. Koblar, B minus. Tyler Hopkins, B minus. Nick Robertson, who we were told by Leaf fans, remember back in the day when he had won, like the year after he was drafted, he was doing all right, and Cole, you know, could have had a better year. Remember when Leaf fans were saying how Robertson, oh, we got a better player at the end of the second round than you did in Caulfield. Remember the chirping? I certainly do. Just like lots of chirping about that, right? Well, it's a reminder, and this is wise words for Habs fans too. Don't chirp about a player drafted 1 year after, or even 2, if he's doing better than another prospect. You know, especially if you go really hardcore on it with your tweets or whatever, because that can come back to bite you. I mean, they're not finished products. They're not even playing in the NHL at that point. Nick Robertson is a good example. Like, if I wanted to, I could go back and find, you know, some chirps that look really stupid today, right? Probably hundreds from Leaf fans that, oh, Nick Robertson, you know, way better than Caulfield. Look at this. And so it's just, you know, it goes both ways. But in the future, and let's, you know, let's take the high road here too. We don't even have to chirp Leaf fans right now. It's just, you know, ignore them. You know, hey, it is what it is, right? I don't feel the need to have to chirp Leaf fans. They're, you know, they did for a few years, and we just would say, hey, you're not winning anything. Who's won more cups since 67? That's all you had to say. And now that obviously the shoe's on the other foot, and the difference in the futures are just starkly different. Let's take the high road and not even whatever, just ignore them. But go back here. Robertson, C plus. Michelli, give him a C plus. I mean, he's playing in the NHL, right? Henry Thrun, C. The Russian goalie, I'm not even Aktinov. We'll give him a C because he's playing an NHL game. Plasova, Skeek. I don't mind him. I'd say he's maybe a C. Will Bell, give him a C. Holenka, he might even be a C plus. He's not a bad prospect for a 5th round pick. William Villeneuve, yeah, not a great skater, but he's putting up points in the AHL. C. Those two could be C plus. Like, if you were, I don't know, if you were being generous, and maybe Thrun a C plus too, but somewhere in that territory. Now, maybe there's a couple of C prospects in their organization I'm not aware of, but if so, well, okay, fine. Maybe Leaf fan can bring it up or something. I'm sure there might be a couple of way in, but when you look at the score sheet there, one A player, and maybe you could say Cowan A as well, but till further notice, a late first round pick, right? 4 B or higher, and 8 higher than C, and 14 C or higher, right? So 14 okay prospects in the Leafs system, 4 quality ones, one A and high, and 8 decent. So then you go to the Habs here, under 26 core. Well, the A's are, and maybe you can argue Dobson's not an A, but I don't know. Certainly, I think the argument's there. Top 11 pick, 70-point season, first pairing D-man. If he's not an A, he's an A minus. But Demidov, Slavkovsky, Hudson, Caulfield, Dobson, A's. I've got Reinbacher's an A minus right now. The future remains to be seen. He could be anywhere from, I think, a B plus to an A. I'd put him at an A minus in between the two. Gooley, A minus. Again, injuries have curtailed him, but when he is healthy, he's a top 4 NHL defenseman all day. I put Jurowski, Hage, Kapanen, Fowler at B plus. You can argue, a little lower, a little higher, but that's close. I'd say fair marks for all of them. Doc, Bolduc, Newhook, Dobush, B's. I give them all B. Dobush, maybe he ends up being a B minus or something like that. Doc, it's hard to say because of injuries, but certainly as a former top 3 pick, the potential is still there for him to be even higher than that, a B plus, maybe even an A. Engstrom, Pickford at B minus. I thought that was a fair. I mean, Pickford's just having an unbelievable year in the WHL. And Engstrom, well, he doesn't look out of place, does he, in the NHL right now? Arbor, Struble, Florian, Papanicus, Thorpe, Davidson, Mooney, C plus. It's hard to, obviously you're projecting with Papanicus, Thorpe, and Mooney, but they've all done some pretty impressive things to date. It wasn't easy ranking Struble, Jackeye, and Arbor, but C plus, I think, because they're NHLers, right? You gotta have them. I gave Michelli and Robertson C plus, so in fairness, Jackeye and Struble C plus, I think is if you're making a comp, it is fair. Kornway, Protz, Konyushkov, Eriksson, Rohrer, Sawyer, Trudeau, Volokin, Quentin Miller, and Ejus Koivu C's. Now, that, again, these are all projections, right? But and some guys will argue, well, Protz should be C plus or B minus, and Konyushkov the same, or there'll be Habs fans that have favorites out of that group that they might think are a little higher, and maybe a couple could be C minus, but C's, I think, pretty reasonable slotting for those guys. So looks like the Habs got a few more, right? 5 A's, and now again, if you want to say, well, Dobson's not an A, well, okay, he's A minus, and you could say Reinbacher's an A, or Gooley. So I think 5 thereabouts to 1 for the Leafs, 15 B or higher to 4 for the Leafs, 24 higher than C to 8 for the Leafs, and 34 C or higher to 14 C or higher for the Leafs. So quantity, quality, and it's not really that close for me. Now, the other thing that's so you say, okay, well, so right now the Habs, sure, they've got more under 26 talent, but what about in the future? Well, unfortunately for the Leaf fans, unfortunately for Habs, it doesn't get any brighter in that regard. I mean, you know, one of the reasons why the Habs have so many more than the Leafs here is just basic, you know, what's gone on the last 4 years. The Leafs have been going for it, trading away picks. In drafts between 2021 and 25, the Leafs had 3 top 50 picks. One of them, Fraser Minton, was traded. No top 25 picks, 5 top 82 picks. Compare that to the Habs, 8 top 50 picks. And they and 9 if you count the trade for Bolduc, 4 top 21 picks, 5 if you count the the trade for Bolduc. Actually, no, because they traded away Mayu, so it remains the same. So 8 top 50 picks, 4 top 21 picks, 3 top 5 picks to no top 5 picks, obviously, in Toronto. They had no top 25 picks. Habs had 3 top 5. 18, this one's the real, this is really why you see such a difference in the quantity and quality. 18 top 82 picks by the Habs in those 5 drafts. The Leafs, 5 top 82 picks. So needless to say, that explains why there's such a discrepancy in this group. That explains quite a bit right there, just, you know, and also because the Canadians drafted better. Like under Dubas, it was the Leafs drafted 5'10" and 5'9" forwards. Yeah. And I mean, they only had 1 top 80 pick usually, right? And then in the later rounds, they picked 5'9", 5'10" forwards over and over again. And I mean, how were they expecting to build a team that could win at the playoffs when trading away all your picks, have 5 salaries eating up about 60% of your, so you need ELCs to fortify that, not picking up these has-beens to fill in the second, third lines. Like, look at the Canadians. They've been adding, Kapanen, Demidov, Slav. These guys are all playing with ELC contracts in the top 6. And that helps balance off the salaries. That's how you build a contender, not by giving 5 players 60% of your salary, trading away all your picks to get plugs, and then not having any quality young players coming up. That's what happened with the Leafs, and it didn't work. I used to argue with Tony at times because he'd talk about, well, the Canadians have to follow the Shanahan method, the Shanahan plan. They're building the right way. And I disagree with him because, no, I didn't think they ever were. And especially when you look at the playoffs and them not having any success. Building the right way wasn't having good regular seasons and then fizzling in the playoffs and trading away all your picks for guys that leave. And it's not the formula for winning. You need to be patient and build enough within your system where it's healthy, then trade away, players, guys that aren't good enough, but are good enough for other teams, the way the Canadians are doing it. So, and I think right now we can see that the Canadians, even under Bergevin, the last couple of years, we're going about it the right way. Let's get back. And here, okay, well, let's look at the future, right? Future drafts, no first round picks in 2026 for the Leafs. Now, if they end up top 5, that was a Carlo pick, then they get to keep their pick. But I think they're probably not going to be top 5. It's possible, but they still have enough talent there. Unfortunate for them, really, to unless they, unless Trey Living says, okay, we got to blow it up before the trade deadline this year, and try to end up with a top 5 pick this year. But I don't see that happening. The standings are just too tight. The Leafs are 6 points out, and 2 games in hand on Boston for the 4th spot in the division. So I think there'd be a revolt. Not by smart Leaf fans, but by a lot. If they traded away Nylander and Matthews or whatever, Riley, and said, okay, we're going to try to finish bottom 5 so we can keep that pick and start the rebuild. I don't know that would go over too well in Toronto right now. So they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. But no first round pick in 26, no second round pick in 2026. They have a 3rd round pick, no 4th round pick in 2026. So the Leafs, for the upcoming draft, a 3rd round pick, that's it in the top 4 rounds. So much for rebuilding, right? Okay, let's go back to it here. Future drafts, right? Okay, so for 2027, they have no 1st round pick and no 3rd round pick. So the next 2 drafts, as it stands right now, the Leafs have a 3rd round pick in 2026 and a 2nd round pick in 2027 out of the first 3 rounds. That's so the Leafs are not only fans are despondent over them sucking now, but what's the future bring? What are they going to trade Nick Robertson for a couple of firsts? No. Maybe the year after he was drafted, they should have, Leaf fan would have tried to. Well, we can get a couple firsts for this guy. He's better than Caulfield. Anyway, it is what it is, and I find it rather amusing. Look at the Habs now. They got a 1st round pick in 2026, 2nd round pick in 2026, 3rd round pick in 2026, 1st round pick in 2027, 2nd round pick in 2027, 3rd round pick. So, as it stands right now, Habs have picks in all of the top 3 rounds for the, for the upcoming 2 drafts. So, not only do they blow them away with U26 talent, right? They also have all their picks over the next 2 drafts. Yeah, they just picked up Deneau, but it was an extra 2nd round pick that they had. Toronto can't even do that. They can't even try to, like they say, oh, well, we want to try to make the playoffs this year. What are they going to do? Trade their 1st round pick in 2028? What's the young talent what are they going to trade Cowan? Like their only decent, forward prospect in the system? Well, maybe, but I wouldn't recommend it. They got to have something for the future here because the present is not very strong. So, again, when you have a look at the standings here, right? Dead last in the Atlantic Division. Lost 4 of their last 5, so they're on their way down. And then the other thing too is, like, I'll have to bring it up here, but just out of curiosity, the thing too is that their core players, like their, the ones that other than Nyes, who was 23, but Austin Matthews is 28, Morgan Riley's 31, John Tavares is 35, and William Nylander is 29. So they're, their main core, you could say, other than Nyes, is 28 years of age or older. And also, like, what's going on with Matthews? He looks like he's already on the decline. I don't know if back, his back, it's caught up with him, but he's not half the player he was 2 years ago right now. Is that going to change? If Matthews gets back to being a 60-goal scorer and playing like he did 2-3 years ago, the Leafs can still make the playoffs. They can maybe win a round for a year or two here, maybe. But if he doesn't, like I say, you got to have young talent coming up with entry-level contracts that are taking up, bouncing off the salary cap, and with all those high contracts that they signed a few years back, these guys. So, they're caught between a rock and a hard place. They really are. I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do here, but the present doesn't look bright, and the future isn't too bright. And the other thing too, the Habs are 8 points ahead of them here, and they've had more injuries. Yeah, the Leafs have some, right now on defense, they're hurting. They've got, the 2 or 3 guys out. So, okay. But up front, the Habs have what? 5 guys out? So it's, and I mean, if you look at game injuries lost this year, the Habs quite a bit more than the Leafs. So it's not like that's why they're 8 points behind, because they've had a lot more injuries. That's not the case. So the Habs are getting back players over the next month, and they should be even better, right? But also this young core that's on the team, Toronto's on the roster, improving players that they have on the roster. Who can you say? You can say Nyes. He can still do some improving. Cowan, he's obviously going to get better as he goes along. You've got Cowan, and you've got Nyes. Nick Robertson's what he is. He's a bubble guy in the NHL. I think that's been proven. Hildeby, maybe he improves, and he's right. He's a guy that Jacob Quillen. I did forget. There's one name I did forget. You can add Jacob Quillen to that Leafs, and I'd put him C+ maybe. He's 23 years old. There, I did miss one name, so apologies, Leaf fans. You got one more. You got one more prospect that that you could add there, giving them 15 C or higher, as opposed to 34 C or higher. Don't think it makes the. I don't think that ends up balancing it out, right, Jacob Quillen? But anyway, there is a name that I omitted, and there's probably a couple others, but fair to say none of them are B or higher prospects. I don't think, anyway. Maybe I'm missing one or two, but that's pretty well it. So what? Quillen, Hildeby, Cowan, and Nyes, on the roster. Well, the Habs have you look at it, right? How many of these guys? Demidov, Slafkovsky, Hudson, Caulfield, Gooley, Kapanen, Fowler, Bolduc, Dobish, Engstrom, all on the team, and all should only be getting better as their careers go along. Even Jackeye and Struble, they're not on the decline. They're on the way up still. So in all facets, in all regards. Right now, the present and the future, as far as I'm concerned, with the two organizations, there's no contest. The Habs have it hands down. Um, anyway, just an extra little thing to look at. Things are looking bright right now for the Canadians, but it's even more satisfying that their chief rival and chief rival on social media when it comes to trolling, they don't have much to brag about these days. So, not crowing, just laying out the facts here. I thought I'd have a look at it, have a look at the future, have a look at the present. In all regards, the Habs are come out way on top. So I don't know if there's some Leaf fans that are watching. They want to join in here. Maybe suggest what they think that the Leafs should do, and Habs fans here too. Keep it civil. I mean, what do you think the Leafs? What's the strategy here for the Leafs? Personally, I'd get rid of Trey Living. I don't think he's done. He hasn't. He hasn't made the right moves. Like he was in a tough spot too when he came in. I'll give him that. Like, you had to try to go for it, I guess, but first round pick for Scott Lawton and Brandon Carlo, when I think you had to try to get a little more creative than that, than just keep doing what the previous regime had been doing. Like, they could have kept Dubas and he could have done that, right? Just kept trading first round picks and second round picks for middle of the road players that can maybe plug a fourth spot on your defense or third line, or it just they have not had the winning strategy here. Well, when Lamoriello and Mark Hunter were there, they were doing it right. They weren't trading away their picks. They let themselves get lousy for a few years. They picked up, Matthews, Riley, Marler, Kadri, Nylander, right? They had got a young core there, and what they needed to do was to stay patient with it for another couple of years, and not, they got better in a hurry there, but they weren't ready. They weren't ready to contend. These guys were too young and didn't know how to win. They didn't have the right veterans to teach them how to win. But they, oh no, we'll trade our first round picks, and we're, oh, look how many points we got in the regular season here. We can win the cup. And they didn't come close. What they needed to do was to grab a few more, 2 or 3 more years of high picks, keep their friggin' picks, and do like Montreal, like it says here. And this is why the 18 top 82 picks in the last 5 drafts, like that, and you look at those top 82 picks. Well, in the last 5 drafts, Demidov, Slafkovsky, Hudson, Reinbacher, Gooley, Zurowski, Hage, Kapanen, Fowler, and also like that Newhook was another guy that they picked up, right? When you could add to the, like when they say 18 top, that's not including Bolduc and Newhook. Who they traded for too. So Engstrom was a 90. Oh, he was 92nd, but Pickford, Struble, Papanicus, all these guys were top 82 picks. And hey, Koivu, Sawyer, that's why the Canadians have they're stocked with promising talent, not only on the big team but in the system, because they stocked up on top 82 picks over the last 5 years. Yeah, they were rebuilding in earnest, but to be that big a difference, right? 18 to 5, and then also picking up, Bolduc, Newhook, other young players that were high pick, Doc, right? So they picked up 2 other top 20 picks, or 3 other young top 20 picks. Were the Leafs doing that? No, they weren't. They were getting, Lawton was a top 20 pick at one point, but 28 or whatever the age is, a little different there. Not a young player that's on the rise like Doc was, like Bolduc is, like Newhook was when they got him. They got them when they were still developing. Well, the Leafs didn't get any, young players that were still developing, right? What they do, they had Sandin, they had Liljegren, they traded them all the way too. So if you go back and look at, picks, they not only traded away lots of picks, they traded away players that they picked high as well. So it just was never, there was never an attempt to build a promising farm system with, multiple GMs. The Shanna plan, safe to say, was wrong. And, he started out, thought, oh, this is working great. Well, it helps when you get, Kadri, Riley, Nylander, Matthews, Marner, we're all top 8 picks, right? So anytime you get 5 in a row or whatever like that, as we're seeing now with the Canadians, right? They got 3 straight drafts where they got a first, a third, or first, a fifth, and a fifth. Well, you're starting to reap the benefits of that now, and then also picking up a top 3 in Doc. But what's also really helped the Canadians is, drafting a guy like Hudson that is legitimately should have been a top 5 pick too, right? And then other guys as well, like Fowler, looks like he should have been a first round pick. You could argue Pickford. Certainly Zborowski looks like he should have been a first round pick. They pick up Dobson, who was a top 11 pick, who was only 25, right? So for a defenseman just now reaching his prime, it's not only where you draft, it's who you draft. And the Canadians have picked a few players that, arguably should have been drafted higher than they were. Kapanen's another one. He should have been a first round pick if you did a redraft of that draft right now, without question. So, Engstrom should have been higher. Good drafting and lots of picks in the top 100, top 82, and it's paying off for the Habs. Yeah, fans had to be patient. Yeah, there were some growing pains, but now it's what, as Liam keeps pointing out, 4 straight years that they've made points improvements. And right now, what are they? Let's have a look here. 36-43, 72-86. So they're on pace to improve again this year. They should be able to top last year's point totals, I think. Like after 72, they're on pace for 86. So in their last 10, if they get 12 points, that's 98 points. That's, yet another year with a decent point improvement. So And then I think next year, well, I predicted this year that they're 100, and they might when the injuries come back and stuff. I mean, they're on pace for what, 98 to 100 there. Somebody can probably do the math. I didn't do it beforehand, but if you divide 43 by 72 and then multiply by 82, somebody got a calculator? Tell me if that adds up to 100. It's probably 98 to 100. So pretty close to 100 points. They're on pace for right now. The injuries come back and the young players just getting better. You know, Demidov, second half, Slav, the way he's playing, he's just like that second line could be just lights out in the second half if we keep seeing them getting more and more used to each other and improving as players and improving as a line. They might be, lights out in the second half. They went up against the Crosby line last night, and I don't know if it was Marty that after the first period adjusted it so that they were out against Sid, or it was Moby, the Pittsburgh coach, but one of them did, and they outplayed Sidney Crosby's line, and they've outplayed several top lines since they've been together. So the future looks bright for that trio. All right, well, Habs fans, if you weren't a little somber about not winning in the shootout last night, I hope this brightens up your day a little bit. Let's get to a few comments here. The make believes have peaked. They should be near a rebuild of some sort soon enough. Yeah, that's I am wonder. Jay Teal, if they were smart, they would trade Matthews. I'm sure he would welcome a trade. Well, it was a mistake getting rid of Marner. It would have been, for me, or you trade him at the trade deadline last year. I think they had a pretty good idea that Marner probably wasn't going to re-sign, unless they thought, oh, this is finally the year we're gonna make noise in the playoffs, right? I get it. They were kind of in a tough spot there because, they ended up first in the division, and trading Marner at the deadline probably wouldn't have gone over too well, and it probably didn't make sense. But they could have, maybe not re-sign him, but they were in a tough spot there for sure. But I don't know. I would have traded Matthews and signed Marner. Big deal. Say, look, we're choosing you over Matthews. Stay, just so that they don't lose a 100-point scorer for nothing. And then, I mean, Matthews, if they'd have traded him in the offseason, they'd have got a ton for him, right? But now they aren't going to trade Matthews this year. I can't see it happening. But if the decline continues, they'll have to consider it next year. But then he's a diminishing asset. What do you get for him at that point? Not nearly what you would have got this past summer. So there's that, right? I don't know. I would, Matthews was the guy I would have dealt a year ago. I don't think that he's, the guy that's going to lead them to the promised land. I just don't see a winner there, a playoff performer. And as far as I'm concerned, they made a mistake taking the C off of Tavares and giving it to him. I think they thought, well, okay, maybe this will inspire him to become a leader. We're not really seeing it, are we? Habs fan says, go Habs. All right. Can't disagree with that. His hometown no longer has a hockey team, but yeah, I'd trade Matthews right away to what? Vegas? It's always Vegas. Maybe LA. Yeah, it's true, eh? Vegas usually ends up with these types of guys. Matthews, yeah. Do you think LA would trade Byfield for? I wouldn't, but you know, something like that would be what I'd pursue if I was the Leafs. I think it's what they're going to have to do but they won't do it this year. They just, you know, fan overreaction would be just crazy. But a year from now, if this Matthews continues to regress and the team continues to regress, I think Leaf fans will, there's enough intelligent ones out there that they'd get it, right? Slav and Cappy, nothing like that on TO. Demi's, I thought you said damn. Demi, Slav and Cappy. Well, I don't know. Guy that was on here the other night was saying that Nyes is as good as Slav. I think you got to consider their age, right? That 2 years, that spread in the age makes a difference. Like, Nyes is a nice player, but he's 2 years older. And Slav is bigger. So Slav is still a better prospect. I think that's fair to say. Matthews, $13 million a season. Well, there's that, right? Leafs need to go on a rebuild. Hopefully they will not lose a top 10 pick to the Bruins this year. It is protected top 5. Yeah. As I mentioned. I try not to run down another team's prospect. Yeah. No, especially me being in the scouting business, it's just not, I was critical I've been critical of Michkov. I was critical with Wright, but that was because there were a lot of delusional Hab fans that thought that just, they criticized the Canadians to no end and the scouting staff for not picking these guys, right? So that's why I critical of them, but certainly not, and then the trolling I got back, and maybe once in a while I, ran down their prospects in defense of all of the trolling, but no, I don't go out of my way to, it's just not, and you don't know the future either, like especially young prospects. It can look really silly. Like I remember on the message boards back when David Perron made the NHL right away, and Pacioretty, when he got sent down to the minors when he first came up to the Habs, Perron was already established NHLer, had some success, and all you heard just the Timmins, picked another American, he's a bum. Why didn't they pick the French Canadian David Perron? He's so much better, and 2 years later, Pacioretty was a 35-goal scorer. And then Perron went on the dip, and it looked okay. It was the exact opposite. So you don't know. Kevin Gumbly lived in Toronto during the Ballard years when the fans wore paper bags in their heads. Well, could be coming back. They taken to throwing jerseys on the ice in the playoffs. Mariners mostly. He ended up being the whipping boy there, and wrong whipping boy. Sorry. I do not like Canadian teams being mismanaged, and the fans have to suffer as a result. True, unless it's Toronto, then I'm okay with that. The Canada-U.S. financial wars put me in a mood that I wish success for any Canadian team at this point, as long as they don't beat the Habs. Yeah, 6 out of 7 for me. I root for 6 out of 7. Just all of the crap from Leaf fans over. I don't. I mean, I don't want them to be dead last because then they keep their pick. But I've got no issue with them having a tailspin here for a while. Dobson is a disappointment, honestly. He's also a 25-year-old defenseman, and you know what Matheson was like at 25. Go back and look at his, him at that age. There's still things to learn. Dobson's, hey, Dobson was a good ad. You just give it time. Yeah, he's not a physical defenseman, but I would like to see all Canadian teams do well. Yes. We have suffered more than most in the past 30 years, so having compassion is the easiest thing to do. That's right. I don't have compassion for the Leafs. I also don't have the desire to go and start ragging on them, on their fans and stuff. I mean, we know what it feels like, right? Hearing it from them for the last few years. So, too soon to bury teams for the playoffs. No, but I'm not saying, as I said, they're 6 points out. So, and a couple of games in hand on Boston. So, they might still make the playoffs. We'll see. It looked at one point like maybe only one Canadian team was making the playoffs. Now, Calgary's bounced back. Vancouver has even got back in the playoff race. Ottawa. There's been a bounce back here from a few Canadian teams. But then, having said all that, screw the loss anyway. Well, that's what I've been trying to say. And hey, Phil, like I said, Reinbacher could be an A. I easily can. These are not hard and true. They're just, I did it friggin' just off the cuff this morning right? And I prefaced it by saying, Reinbacher could be anywhere from a B plus to an A there, but we don't know yet, right? And then Dobson could be less than an A. So again, keep in mind what I said, right? These aren't hard and true, and there's room, but I don't think any of these. Well, I'm comfortable in saying I wouldn't, none of those rankings. I would say there's a full, they're off by a full letter one way or the other, right? Like the highest mark is A, so I've got Reinbacher at A minus. We'll just get rid of the minus. Well, it's basically the same thing. You can argue a minus or a plus for any of them, one way or the other. Reinbacher needs to be healthy, then we can rate him accurately. Well, that's it. A minus is a fair place for him right now. He hasn't proven yet that he's an A. If and when he does, I have no issue saying he's an A. After seeing Grant's chart, I conclude the Habs' future is brighter. Yeah, a little bit. Oh yeah, I'm not. Again, A minus for Christ's sake. What are we arguing over a minus for? Come on, guys. I like Koivu to take a leap just because I loved Saku. Yeah, well, I mean, those are, I just put those aren't necessarily in order of the C's. You could be at the top of the C's there, and that would put him right below Mooney, right? But yeah, he doesn't, right now, he doesn't deserve to be any higher on that. And again, these were just as a guy, like as a, don't take this as the gospel here. it's just like a guide to compare it to the Leafs one, right? Like I just put the marks there just to, so let's not uh, get debating too much who's B, or somebody shouldn't have a plus, or they should have, you know what I mean? Not only the Leafs got rid of draft picks, they haven't got much for them. Avalanche were able to get Brock Nielsen. Leafs of Scott Lawton. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Tavares' contract is one good thing I see for the Leafs currently. Right. And it's because he took a hometown discount because he's a character guy that should have kept the C. Right? Shanaplan is a total mess, not the way to go for sure. Nylander hasn't scored since November 26th. Holy frig, eh? The last few years of Bergevin drafting was really good, but lots of bad contracts. Not even a question why Leafs are a sinking ship with no end in sight for them for years. Sammy, good to see you on board. Thanks for coming in. Leafs, old Mother Hubbard comes to mind. The cupboards are bare. There you go. Yeah. Would be interesting to match up depth charts, including the Marlies and other prospects. Well, that's basically what I did there, Casanova. That's their main prospects. That's it. There ain't much. Best thing Leafs can do is trade Matthews and try to get a big haul for him and start the rebuild. Yep. Marner got out in the nick of time. True. True, but who wants Matthews? Well, there'll be somebody out there takes him. 28 years old, won a friggin' Hart Trophy 2 years ago. Leafs are, you know what? Daniel Grant, the Leafs defense is awful. It has been since Matthews was drafted. Basically. I mean, I mind Tanev. I thought they made a couple of decent moves on defense, but thing is that they haven't drafted any. Like, they had an opportunity to pick Caden Gooley, and they didn't. They passed on him, and he was the perfect, exactly what they needed. And I just couldn't believe that they passed on Caden Gooley that year. And then the next pick was Montreal's, and they got Gooley. Like, it was exactly what they needed. They needed a, rugged, mobile, 6'2" defenseman that could kill penalties, shutdown guy. And who knows? Maybe he wouldn't have, if he'd have been in the Leafs organization, maybe, like, everything's different, right? These injuries happen. Maybe he wouldn't have got all these injuries. Maybe he would have been healthy in Toronto the last 3 years. And if, a healthy Gooley the last 3 years on that Toronto defense would have made such a difference for them. And then they'd have had it. Also, those first 2 years, he'd have been on an ELC, right? ELC contract. They could have spent that extra money instead of spending it on a Giordano or somebody, right? Who was eating up millions more. They could have added an actually good piece up front, or even another defenseman, a good young defenseman to help grow with this group, right? But no, they passed on Gooley, who is exactly what they need. And now this past year, they got Danford, who to me is a poor man's Gooley, right? Well, Riley would be our sixth defenseman. Maybe a little higher than that, but yeah, with everyone healthy, maybe. All teams have to go through a cycle. The main issue for the Leafs is that they haven't won when it was their time. Now they need to choose between A long, slow death or rebuild by trading their core. Core of young players with the Habs is like 1985-86. Yeah. Well, I did one of my many podcasts in the last few days. I did do one where I brought up the, you know, 85-86 team with the under 22 talent was very similar. They had Richer, Roy, Claude Lemieux, Corson, you know, the list went on and on. Dahlin, yada, yada, yada. Ed Tamboni. Did you, you haven't, I sent you, by the way, Ed, I believe, yeah, I think this is the right guy. I sent you a gift subscription there that you haven't redeemed yet, right? You asked for Patreon. I know when it's been redeemed and still says that you didn't redeem it yet. So go do that, young man. Leafs window is not only closing, it's been closing the last couple of years. And it's glaring that even bringing in top coaches arguably shows it's not so much the coaching. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Potential Norris and Art Ross candidates on the Habs side. Yeah, maybe, who knows? Maybe Lady Bing in Hudson's future. Well, he picked up his second minor penalty the other night. I wasn't too happy about that. But also, who knows? Maybe Hart. Maybe someday one of these Habs players wins the Hart Trophy. You never know. To be fair, with a bit of luck against Florida last year, Toronto might have had their cup. That's still only one series there, Francois. You still think Austin Matthews leads them to 16 victories in a season, even if they beat Florida? I mean, you can speculate all you want, but to be fair, that wasn't the Stanley Cup final either. Or lose them for nothing in 2 years, take Marner. Yeah. Stop trading picks, change the philosophy would be my first recommendation, seeing Dallas model. How about the Montreal model, Neil? Montreal model seems to be working. Mistake 1, letting Kadri go. Mistake 2, signing Tavares. 3, keeping 4 guys who are probably the 4 softest players in the league. I think that might be a little bit. I don't know about that, but yeah. I wouldn't call them the 4 softest players in the league, but I get your point. Not playoff warriors, I guess you could say. Letting Kadri go, well, yeah, you know, he took a couple of dumb penalties and seemed like they'd almost react to fan reaction, right? Kadri, median fan reaction to him taking a couple of costly penalties. Marner being the whipping boy, right? You don't run an organization based on fan reaction. And yeah. So as far as signing Tavares goes, yeah, it was a high, it ate up a lot of salary, but I don't know. The fact that he's still a good player and he signed for less now, like at the end of his contract, when you add up his years and his points and, contributions, it won't look as bad as Matthews right now. That's for sure. But I mean, yeah. they still would have needed another center. Dallas have had incredible drafting. You need teams to draft bad so others can draft well. Well, I'd say Montreal's a lot of Dallas model too. They've got, as I pointed out in an episode the other day, like picks after 60, the Canadians have had some freaking dandies in recent years. Hudson, Fowler, Pickford, Papanicus, on and on. Gross mismanagement. Pickford wasn't even drafted at age 18, was he? No, he wasn't. To be uncharacteristically, ooh. So you use that word. Good thing Rick's not here reading this one, eh? Just like Montreal criticized the Habs scouts, any insight into Leaf scouting over the years? Yeah, well, I did mention them passing on, picking 5-10 players over and over again when they needed to get size skill in their top 9 to fortify the softness of their skill players. When they kept picking 5'9", 5'10 forwards, and I couldn't understand it. There was one draft year. See if I can get it here. Like 2020, Ronnie Hervinen, 5'9", 5'10", 6-foot defenseman Topi Niemela, Dmitry Ovchinnikov, 5'11" or 5'10". This is all in one draft. Viti Mietinen, 5'8". Joe Miller, 5'9". Like, this is all one draft. Ryan Tverberg, 5'10". Like, what are you doing? Every player undersized? Another 6-foot defenseman, Axel Rindell. Like, they had like 10 picks. John Fusco, defenseman, 5'10". All in one draft, folks. 6-foot forward. So every one of these guys undersized. All in the same draft. And the year before that, they'd pick Robertson, who's 5'9", right? 5'11" defenseman, Kokkonen. Abramov, who's 5'10" and a half at most. Michael Koster, a 5'9" defenseman. Like, this was an ongoing theme. 5'11" defenseman, Lopinen. Every single player they were drafting was undersized. The year before, Semyon Argunchatov, or whatever his friggin' name is, 5'10", undersized winger. Dursey and Sandin, like, below average, right? Below average size. Mac Hollowell, 5'9" defenseman. Philip Kral, 5'11" defenseman. Average size for a defenseman, 6'2". You see a pattern here? Pontus Holmberg, 6 foot. Average size forward is 6'1". So Kizimov, 6 foot. Again, Riley Stott's 6 foot. Like, not even drafting average sized players, all undersized. All of them. And this was every draft. Ty Voigt, 5'9". Well, they only made 3 picks that year. They finally drafted somebody that was decent size that draft, Matthew Nyes. That's the only good pick out of those, out of 4 drafts, right? So Dubas and his scouting staff, it was like you're just like, how do you've got soft guys that underachieve in the playoffs. You're trading away high picks, and the picks that you do keep, you're drafting 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", constantly. It just none of it made sense. So, I mean, I didn't mind it. It's like, oh, good. And I mean, I talked to fellow scouts about it. So why do they keep picking undersized guys? Well, I don't know, but whatever. It was so, I mean, there's some talented prospects there, but you have to be super talented to be 3 or 4 inches under the average size in the NHL to make it. Let alone all of them. Were they all like? Were they going to have Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares, and 7, 5'9", 5'10" forwards? Was that going to win it? Was that going to win you a cup? I don't know. It all starts at the very top, starting with Molson, Hiring Gorton, and then Hughes, and so on. Yeah, I think finally relinquishing the president's role, I think, was important too. I'm glad that he did it this offseason. Pickford was drafted in his second year of eligibility. Yeah. Potential steal. Second line could end up being our top line. Well, they were last night, and I think you might see it more often than not. Well, until there's a third player, like obviously Slav moving down evens those 2 lines quite a bit, right? Safe to say he's better than Balduke at this point. Projecting for 89 points. Okay, that's what I thought. Kids line is balling right now. Has the look of a first line, but need a second line center. Beginning of the end was taking the C off at Tavares. Yeah, I believe so. Leafs rolled the dice, kept Marner, and lost. Do you remember when Marner blocked a deal? Leafs were trying, though. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Marner was it was complicated with Marner. I get it, but left it too long. And then, oh, geez, we got 108 points. We can't trade him at the trade deadline, really. I mean, it depends. I mean, if you get a great return, you think about it, but the problem was they still had Matthews as their main guy, no matter what the trade was. Leafs wanted to re-sign Marner during the summer, but it was a bit bitter because they tried trading him for Rantanen. Yep, that's true. Yeah, well, Sylvie Van played it right. If you think a star is leaving, trade him early. Right. Well, that's the other thing. You've got these no trade contracts, right? Really sad for the fans again. Good afternoon, Grant. Hope you're well. Hey, Antwerp or Ant P. Thanks, my friend. Used to be Arizona when they had a team. Marner may be the softest player in the league. Vegas regrets the move. Moving him to center is, yeah, I don't agree with that. Canada doesn't win the friggin' Nations Cup last year without Marner. I like Marner. I'm sorry. I don't agree with people that this softest player in the league narrative. Don't agree. Byfield for Matthews might work for both teams. Yeah, well, I did mention that, but Wild will likely want another big deal for a top center. They're all in. But what have they got left? Who are they trading for? You know that the price is pretty high for a top center, right? What, they're going to trade Boldy? Well, that wouldn't make sense. Can you see the TML tanking for a high lottery pick this year, barring a small miracle? I can't see them making a playoff spot, and just outside the WC would be the worst case. The worst case Ontario. I like that. Like Ricky says. Yeah. Well, doesn't take a rocket appliance to figure that out, right? Well, they'll have to deal like Nylander and Riley or something, I think. Right? That'd be the only way. I think they have to end up bottom fives. There's still enough talent there that probably not bottom five, but stranger things have happened. Yeah, they've been winning ever since. You got balls. You might start another mass migration, this time from Toronto back to Montreal. There you go. How about those Buffalo Sabres? Michael, you can trade a guy with a no trade clause. Happens all the time. It's guys that are patronizing. Michael Whalen. I don't like the patronizing. 4-point game tonight. Suzuki line is due for a big game. Phil should provide a shot in the arm. Yeah. Tomorrow night. Thomas and Parayko from Blues for Caulfield Matheson. Parayko becomes Hudson's partner protector. Wow. Mm-hmm. Do you think Bergeron will help Buffalo? I don't know. He's pretty good making trades. Not bad draft-wise. Just don't let him have anything to do with hiring coaches and such. Maybe. I don't dislike the Leafs, just their fans. Yeah, but for me, it kind of goes hand in hand. Would you do this trade, Dobson and Monty for Binnington, Mayu in a second? Mayu. Wow. Okay, guys, we're getting some crazy things here. Why would they trade back for Jesus? Yeah. Mayu. Someone who grew up a Habs fan but appreciated the Wings because of players like Datsuk and Zet. I'm glad they're having a good season so far. Yeah. I mean, I like, trade rumors are fun there, Joe, but that one doesn't make sense either. Teams aren't trading guys that they just traded for. They just don't, right? They're going to be patient with them, so we have to be patient with them. I could never see that trade happening. It would certainly blow up Twitter, that's for sure. Yeah. Keep them crazy trades coming, guys. Sure be great for Sabres fans if they made the playoffs. Yes and no. It might be the Habs that they beat out. So looks like the Wings might be making the playoffs. Tampa, maybe Boston. So you want the other team, Ottawa. You want the other team to the Buffalo? Careful what you wish for there, Sheldon. But yeah, I would like to see the Sabres make the playoffs, just not at Montreal's expense. Sabres have a shot. Norris come back being very productive. Yeah, till he blows out his shoulder again. Yeah, Pierre, that wasn't directed just to you. Like every comment I make is based on totality, not necessarily one. There've been a few people that were commenting, and then when I got to your thing, it was just finally the accumulation of several of them. So that wasn't directed directly at you, Pierre. There's lots of people on the chat here. Like Dobson's Memorial Cup a few years ago, think his future is still good. Yes, I agree. Hey, we're all very excited about Rhino. That's why I have him an A-, and he's never played a game in the NHL. It's the only guy on that list, you notice, that with an A ranking. It happens to be a minus beside it, but that's damn high for a kid that's never played in the NHL. Love him. Well, you know that. I've got him as the top-rated ranked prospect on the club, ahead of Zurowski and Hage. I mean, you could put them A too. But we don't know till we see them. You know what I mean? At the NHL level, then I give the A's to people that are there and that are proving it at the NHL level for this, for this particular thing, right? Just a little bit of exercise, a little caution, and not, 3 years from now, somebody come back and say, you had Reinbacher as an A, right? So I was just being a little careful with trying not to be too overly optimistic for players that have yet to play a game in the NHL. Maybe that best explains why I didn't give them an A yet. Like this is under 26, right? Not just prospects. So it includes NHL players. I guess that would be how I best explain, and again, it was just used as a guide in comparison to the Leaf end of thing, right? Like I gave Cowan a B+. He might be an A, but he hasn't proven, right? Hasn't proven himself at the NHL level yet. Definitely did I forget Beck? There you go. See? Yes, no Beck. My mistake. So add another guy in there. I'd put him at B-. So that would give them 25 players higher than C, as a comparison to 8 higher than C. Thanks, Giselle, for pointing that out. Oversight on my behalf. Took a while for somebody to notice. Definitely the Habs' future is brighter. The Leafs are a dumpster fire, toxic culture, and it will take them time to turn that around. Ed, I sent you an email, and there's a link to click on. I'll send it to you again. Maybe a future Selke. Yeah, there's that too. Maybe a future Jack Adams. Maybe a future Bill Masterton. Lady Bing, like I say, to Hudson, a lot of possibilities there. Conn Smythe, that's the one I want. The one I'm most looking forward to in the future is Conn Smythe. I wanted Habs to have a couple Conn Smythe winners. You compare the Dallas under 26 to Montreal's. Oh yeah, they're at that level. They just haven't won yet because their Heiskanen and stuff are already in their prime. Wait till these Habs under 24 guys are in their prime. They're at the Dallas level. They have as much talent as Dallas ever did. It's just you're going to see they're going to be doing what Dallas has done the last few years in the next few years. It's just you got to wait for the players to mature, right? Like Robertson and Heiskanen, and these guys are in their primes. Problem isn't the Leafs; it's the Leafs-centric Sportsnet broadcast. Hopefully, they will start concentrate on the Habs. There you go. Fowler might have something to say about Sheldon. About that, we're lucky, unlike poor Leaf fans. Well said. Very lucky. Find it hard to believe that any NHL player is soft. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little careful with throwing that out there. Michael Whalen, I'm sorry, buddy. We love them all. Zurowski and Rhino, not even here yet. Add Page to that group, and the talent boost is insane. Yeah. I was more curious as to scouting personnel insight and their quality. I don't know. I don't know the Leafs scouting staff. Don't even know who's on it. I don't, scouts don't gossip about other scouts, staffs, and stuff. I honestly can't. I can't give you a rundown on that. All I can do is talk about their picks, and that I think that their tendencies were incorrect in the past. Our top man is almost complete, even without Doc Newhook. And who knows how many kids will surprise us in the future. Yeah. Folks, I'm a little, I have to get a good rest here. A little on the cranky side today. I've been overworking the last few days. I probably should have just slept this afternoon instead of doing this, but bear with me. Newhook, Deno, Doc would be my third line if Doc doesn't eventually play with Caulfield and Suzuki. Yeah, I think I can see that. But who do you have on the first line? Bolduc still? I guess so. Yeah, Zurowski and all right, most of this is just talking back and forth. I'll just skip over. If I get some questions, I see Bolduc, Kapanen, or Hage, and Newhook, Doc as the future third. Yeah. Yeah, well, Kapanen couldn't be the second, that's for sure. I've been telling my Leaf fan friends over the last 3 years that we're going to pass them, and it was going to be faster than they thought could be possible. They don't want to talk about it anymore. Yeah. See, these are the comments that I'm looking for here. The only future the Leafs fans have left is at the ends of a bottle. They will fire the coach because the Stars have given up. No heart. 34, 88. What they need is a rebuild, nothing short of it. I think you're just echoing what I've been saying, so I can't say that I disagree with those sentiments. Always had Marner higher than Matthews personally. Yeah, me too. And I think we can see that he was, they missed him. It's funny. A Leaf fan in the summer brought up a stat that showed that in the past couple of years, when Marner was out of the lineup, Matthews had scored more goals. So the reasoning was, one guy even said, "I think you'll see him score more goals now with Marner gone." I think, yeah, one of the top 3 playmakers of the past 5 years, and you don't think that's going to hurt Matthews' goal score? Yeah. If they get a top 5 pick, it's going to Boston. No, I think it's the other way around. Is it not? It's top 5 protected. So if they end up with a top 5 pick, I think they keep it. As long as it's not a top 5 pick. Okay. Yeah. The Leafs' number one need for my whole lifetime has been a number 1 D-man. That's true. They haven't had one since Salming. No, you're right. That's exactly it. They haven't. They have not had one since Boreas Salming, really, Yeah. All those high picks they made, the only one that was used was on Riley, and that was in that certainly wasn't that was the Galchenyuk draft, right? It's not going to go down as one of the greatest in history, that's for sure. I thought Bolduc would be a good fit for Suzuki Caulfield, but now realize they're not particularly effective on the rush. Texier, Newhook, bring back Slav Demi. Any thoughts? Yeah. Well, is it just coincidence that Caulfield hasn't been as good lately with Bolduc on the wing? I don't know that we can put it all on Caulfield. It might have something to do with his new line mate, right? They don't seem to be clicking necessarily. And even Suzuki hasn't looked maybe as good either. So could be a product of who's playing on their line to a certain degree. So you're saying Texier, Newhook, bring back Slav, Demi? Oh, you mean either Slav or Demi on the... Well, I don't know. I like the fact that they've got a kid line together, right? Once upon a time, the New York Islanders put a young line together. Guys' names were Gillies, Trottier, and Bossy, and kept them together. Gillies being the big corner guy, Bossy being the sniper, and Trottier being the all-around center. Now, this is not, Kapanen's not Trottier, and Demi isn't goal scorer like Bossy, but I think Slav's a better version of Gillies, just not the fighter. Demidov's fantastic playmaker, dynamic, and Kapanen's a pretty good two-way center. So we've seen it in the past, young lines put together and they kind of grow and keep getting better. Um, Marchand and Bergeron played together, put together when they were young and grew and became a great line. And they got Pasternak on their side, and the rest was history. And there are other examples. I'd like to, I like the potential of that trio, and I think it's really helping Slav reach another level. I think it's important for Slav to reach his potential, and I think he can help Demi and Kapanen reach their potential. So maybe you keep those three together, and you find. I mean, in the past, Suzuki and Caulfield have been effective with pretty much anybody that they play with. And this might only be a blip, like maybe, you know, or you try somebody else, right? And that could be Doc. You get Doc up there. He's played with them before and they've been decent. So right now, what I would like to keep that second line together and try to find somebody to play with Suzuki, somebody else to play with Suzuki and Caulfield. How do you think Dubas is doing so far in Pittsburgh? Mixed results, I'd say. They finally drafted it. They finally got a good draft pick. I mean, it helped. I think that they brought in a man from Trent Mann, who used to be the head scout in Ottawa. He's now helping out with the scouting in Pittsburgh. I think that helped. Slav would be my guy for the Conn Smythe. Yeah, really, eh? I'm amazed we got Pickford and Zrosky in the draft. Yeah, even as trade assets, they've greatly improved their value. I hear you. Colin Martin, if you saw Robertson pre-draft on Pete's when COVID shut down, and after following year, the kid was insane. I did see him. I saw he was a very good junior player, but there've been a lot of insane junior players, 5'9", that respectfully don't become insane NHL players. Like I saw, he played well in junior, but he wasn't going to grow. And you still have to make that translation to the NHL. And at the time, I was well aware of it, that he was playing well. Heard it from Leaf fans all the time. He was going to be better than Caulfield. It's just, well, hold on, we'll see. And I think it's fair to say that he hasn't ended up being better than Caulfield. I also argue Robertson was mismanaged ever since. Yeah. Well, I could name you a wacka, guys, 5'9" guys that were fantastic juniors that never made it in the NHL. There's been a pile of them. I'm with you, Grant. Conn Smythe and Stanley are the only trophies I care about our players winning. Yeah, well, at least the Leafs have that, right? They got a Hart. They got a Hart trophy. I mean, nice that Jose Theodore won a Vezina. Nice that Carey Price won a Hart, but would have much preferred Carey Price to win a Conn Smythe in his career. That's for sure. And, you know, I didn't say Stanley Cup because it kind of goes without saying that if you win the Conn Smythe, unless you're Connor McDavid or Reggie Leach or Roger Crozier, who else? Bernie Perron, did he win it one year? No, it was Reggie Leach, right? One of the Habs years, their first cup on their string. Yeah, with very few exceptions, it's the if a player on your favorite team wins the wins Conn Smythe, you guys won a cup. There are a lot of teams that would love Cappy on their team. Yeah. I think so. Cappy's value as an asset has skyrocketed. 22 right shot rookie center on pace for 25 if he played elsewhere. It looked like McTavish value, pretty much. Yeah, I'd say his value is quite high. I don't want them to trade him, but but he's got good value. Nice pick from Timmins. Got to give him a bit of love. As this pick saved our ass this year. Yeah, pretty much. And the Pacioretty pick indirectly got the team Suzuki too, right? I mean, they don't get Suzuki if Timmins doesn't draft. Pacioretty back in the day. I mean, there's a few guys, right? It's sort of indirect, but if you go down the roster, well, Evans, Gallagher, obviously, Gooley, Caulfield, Suzuki indirectly. I think even Newhook, there's it took a former draft. Matheson, again, indirectly. I went through it one time, Struble, and it was over half the roster. Dovish, you know, Josh Anderson, because Galchenyuk became Domi, became Josh Anderson, right? Like if you go through player by player and how they were acquired, I believe it's something like a dozen players that the previous regime and Trevor had drafted that got, or at least was part of the reason why the current players are on the team. So without Cappy playing 2C, we would not be in the playoffs, I don't think. No, probably not. I like Doc with Suzuki and Caulfield, but I would start him on the third. Yeah, I've been saying that, Sheldon. I don't know if you start him right away, but I mean, I guess there's two ways of looking at it, right? He's not going to be playing center, so it's not as big a deal. And he's playing with two really good players, so that's kind of good too. But my concern is been off so long, and then he's going out and he's playing against other teams' top lines. You know, will he check? How will he be defending against first line wingers and stuff? I don't know if I'd throw him to the Wolves right away. Hi, folks. The future of the Habs is way brighter than that. Leafs, it's not even close. How much of the credit do you give Marty on developing these players? Seems he gets above average performances from very high percentage of prospects. Um, well, quite a few of those players are were highly regarded though too. Like Hudson came in, you know, I mean, he's been great, but he was great in Boston University too. Caulfield, well, we saw what he could do. Slav and Demi were top 5 picks. Um, Cappy, well, not he surprised a lot of people, but I wasn't. I haven't been surprised that he's been a good NHLer. I'm happy that Marty saw what I had the last few years, and I told it to uh, guys in the Habs staff. I said coaches are going to love Cappy, and I'm not surprised. I wonder what his value is now. Pickford obviously not asking Team Canada what they think here. Yeah, yeah. I think Marty's done just to get back to that. I think Marty's done a decent job of developing guys. I also think Rovida, um, he was given the hardest task. He got 5. He had to develop 5 rookie defensemen as a rookie defense coach. His first year with the Habs. That wasn't easy, right? Hart Trophy winner not producing a point a game right now. What is next? Yeah, I know. He's struggling. Doesn't have Marner. Feed Marner. Yeah, I know. When I said Hart, I was thinking you got to have Hart. Miles and miles and miles of Hart. Yeah, I don't know. Like say the Hart, that's maybe is a little harsh, but yeah, not. Yeah, Leach broke the playoff goal scoring record. That's right, 19 goals. I remember it well. The two guys. It's funny. The two guys that hold the record for the most goals ever in NHL playoff, Yari Curry and Reggie Leach. Reggie won it in a year when his team didn't win the cup, and Curry won the cup but didn't win the Conn Smythe when he scored his 19, which is interesting. The pool prospects is great. Simone, Hage, Pickford, Jarosky, Mooney, Eriksson, Konyushkov, Papanicus, Radkov, Volikin, Miller. I'd say Cornway too. Yeah. Well, if we look at this, Simone, I like Florian Jacki, Beck. I guess you still call him Papanicus, Thorpe, Davidson, Cornway, Protz, Eriksson, Rohrer, Sawyer, maybe even Koivu. Like there's a lot of those guys won't play for the Habs, and Engstrom's also still, you have to say, a prospect. So when you look at the Leafs over on the left column there, they got the one column and the Habs have 2 longer columns. There's just, it's not even in the same stratosphere. Yeah, Francois, again, this, please, just as I tried to explain, I just threw numbers on, and I did preface this right at the start by saying, don't pay too much attention to that. I don't value this doesn't mean I value one guy more than others or blah blah blah, right? Um, uh, yeah. Don't let's not get into discussions on the. This was just used as a guideline in comparison, like so that I could say 1A versus 5A, 4B, 15B. Um, like you're asking why I've got one guy B plus, another guy A minus. I mean, you know that means I value him more. Well, I mean, I don't know. Where I come from, an A minus and a B plus are basically the same thing. So again, I threw those up there. And the main thing being with the goalie is, hey, I'm still careful with goalies. I don't get too high until they're freaking established, and they've done it for a while. Like Caden Primo at one point, when I used to do my rankings, he was top 5. And if you went back and I looked at my rankings from those times now, I said, oof, thought that guy was going to be a lot better than he ended up being, right? I mean, Fowler's played, a handful of good NHL games so far. And I mean, I put him ahead of Dovish, right? Dovish is the more proven guy in the NHL right now. So obviously I like Fowler quite a bit. Yeah, I've got him as the number 1 goalie because I have him ahead of Dovish. I hope that makes sense. That's the best I can explain it. I really thought the pool as a whole was going to take a step back because of how many we were graduating, but they hit this year's draft out of the park. Yeah. Well, yeah, because they traded, and plus they traded away their first 2 first round picks, right? But Zorowski looks like you might be able to make an argument, hopefully someday, that you could have justifiably taken him with the 16th or 17th picks that they traded away, one of those 2, and Pickford too, maybe. So it's almost like they didn't trade the pick away. I wouldn't be shocked if someday Pickford's better than Dobson. I mean, we don't know that for sure, but the possibility is there. Wouldn't that be kind of funny, right? You trade away the 16th, 17th pick for Dobson, and then in the 3rd round, you pick somebody that ends up being better than Dobson. Not saying that that's what's going to happen in the future, but you never know. Hugo needs to find another piece for the first line. Yeah. Stamkos. Then I hope we will be very dangerous. Linus contract is key here. He will need to go. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Line Struble, and one of their firsts for Stamkos. Would you do something like that? Sredinsky. Hi, Grant. Do you see Hage starting next year in the NHL? Geez. Craig Button sees him being second line center of the Habs the end of this year, so maybe I have to revisit that. Maybe I've been underrating him a bit, but maybe. I think Hage is probably a year away. Like now they've got to know, right, for another year. So Suzuki, Kapanen, Deneau, and Evans down the middle. I don't see Hage supplanting any of those guys at center. Now, does he come in and play? Maybe he's the guy that plays on the wing with Suzuki and Caulfield. I don't know. I was of the opinion earlier in the year that it might even be he might even go back to college for one more year. But it's a good question. Maybe if they don't pick up another player for the top six, maybe he ends up making the team next year. But and that's if he signs, right, and comes. But I personally think he'd probably be best served if he does sign with the Canadiens at the end of this year to go to the AHL for a year. A lot of prospects will be used in future trades. Yeah, that's a good point, Sheldon. I agree. The reason I asked about Marty's percentage, yeah, I don't know what the percentage is, but I've seen a lot of highly prospects not work out for other coaching staffs over the years. Right. Well, it's a perfect storm sometimes too, right? The Canadiens were in a rebuild. They got a new management staff, a new coach that was given, a few years mandate. Molson was going to be patient with them, so they weren't in a try to win now mode, right? So it allowed Marty time to work and develop, play prospects, more prospects than a lot of teams. Be patient with their development. Let them, learn how to win, learn how to lose, all that stuff. And it's helped, at Bergevin at times, they were impatient with the prospects. They had teams that, like, I remember when they're unlikely, they were like first in the Atlantic or first in the conference even. And, so prospects had to kind of wait their turn because the team was apparently competing. So prospects didn't get properly developed because of it, didn't get a good shot in the NHL, and their development was hurt. But I also think, hiring a skills coach has helped with the development. The guys that they have, like Francis Wio and Rob Ramage, have become good development coaches as well, right? But I also think they've had a lot of really good players, and so it's a combination of all these things. And yeah, sure, you give some credit to Robidas, you give some credit to Letowski, and you certainly give some credit to Robidas for having so many young defensemen that he had to deal with. Like, they set a record working in 5 rookie defensemen in 1 year. That's never in the history of the league. It's never been done before or since. So he also gets credit, Robidas. And I don't see it. It's usually Marty. Everyone, when they talk the coaching, it's all about Marty. Well, you have a defensive coach, and he coaches the defense. And the Canadiens have had a pile of young defensemen brought in. Like, since that 5, the 5 were what? Barron, Struble, Jack-Eye, Gooley, and who was the other? There were 5 anyway. Brought them all in same time. And then Hudson since, right? Like, it's not they all deserve credit, I think. And that includes the management. and the development coaches and Nicholas and the whole group, right? I hope that answers your question. You have a crowd as passionate about prospects as you'll ever find in the media jungle. Yeah, oh yeah. And I used to when I on recruits too. I don't know how many of you used to subscribe, but you know, I covered the Habs prospects passionately, and everybody on board there um, major passionate about the prospects. Well, I answered about Fowler. I was not questioning ranking, but wanted to see if it was more about goalies being a special case. Yeah, how many years in a row would you be comfortable trading the first pick away for immediate help? Oh, I don't know that they need a pile of immediate help. You know, really, what are the gaping holes with the Canadians right now, other than just maybe, you know, being patient here? Um, maybe one or two. Like they traded away last year's, so if they trade away this year's, then that's two in a row. But I can't see them doing it again the following year. You know, two. I think two is good, but of course it helps when you draft a Zorowski that might as well have been and Pickford who may as well have been first round picks too. It almost makes up for the fact that you didn't have a first round pick last year, right? You can kind of pretend that you did anyway. That's a good question, Daniel, but I don't see a lot of holes there. I think you almost like they also have some surpluses at certain positions of prospects that are already in the system that they may trade away instead of first round picks, right? So there's that too. There's a kind of the combination of two, and it depends on their trade partner. The trade partner wants, a return where it's going to help them sooner. They're kind of, they're wanting a speedy rebuild or retool or whatever the case may be. They may value getting that prospect or young NHLer more than getting a first round pick, right? Like a Beck or Struble or Engstrom or what have you. Like maybe, right? They a team would rather one of those guys as opposed to, and especially with the Habs here now, if they're at the top of the standings over the next few years, that first round pick is not nearly as valuable as it would have been 3 years ago or whatever. If you're, that's a pick, first round pick that's 25 or whatever. Like you could see a player like Newhook get traded in the future. I mean, it we'll see, but what if the Canadians want I don't know, a big physical top 9 player, from a team that isn't looking to necessarily rebuild, but just kind of jigger things around a bit. And you offer them like Newhook and a third or second or something, then you're not trading a first for them, but you're getting that piece that, is a fit for a club that's trying to win a playoff time that might, like the Canadians, that might be looking for a little more size and physicality, or the same thing on the defense, right? Like maybe Carrier gets traded for a bigger defenseman, or something along those lines. But I think the Canadians have a lot of good prospects that can be parts of deals that would enable them not to necessarily have to keep doling out first round picks to try to get the pieces that to truly contend over the next few years. Oh yeah, I've been saying that, Pierre, for a while now. That you don't know. Like, sure, Pickford has all. Pickford has. He has all sorts of potential there. What I've seen him doing there, Pierre, holy frig! Like, Dobson can't shoot like Pickford. He's had 10-goal NHL seasons, but he can't pick the friggin' corners like that kid. Whenever you've got an elite quality, you can become a good NHLer, and Pickford's shot is unbelievable. So, yeah, I don't. Sure, Dobson's not wowing me. I like Dobson, but I understand a little bit better now why the Islanders were willing to trade him. It's a possibility that at some point here, he's the third pairing right defenseman on the Canadiens, making $9.5 million. It's possible at that point they'd probably deal him. I mean, Pickford could end up being better than Dobson, and then if and when that happens, then Dobson moves on to his third NHL team, right? Somebody that doesn't have a Pickford and a Reinbacher on the right side that can afford $9.5 million and use Dobson in their top four or even top pairing. A team that's on the rise like Montreal was when they made the deal for Dobson. So I keep an open mind when that comes to, because through the years, and especially with recruits and that, you kind of try to project a future lineup, and if you go back and look at them, they're never anywhere close to what ends up being reality. Young players that well, he'll be on the second line and never makes the NHL, or established players that you think, oh yeah, he'll be on the first pairing in 4 years and he's out of the NHL then, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, it's a possibility that someday Pickford's ahead of ends up winning a spot ahead of Dobson for sure. Hey, no problem. Thanks for asking. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate newcomers on here. Dano can teach a lot of things about defensive hockey as a center. To Cappy, Beck, and Hage. Yep. It'll be an interesting camp next season. Oh. You're telling me. I think in 2 years especially, it'll be interesting. Might be 2 years away from it, like who are the guys that next year are really going to be fighting? Like it might be a couple of years away for a few of these guys, but hey, every camp over the past few years has been interesting. Like going into this year, the most interesting thing for me was like Kapanen, right? Does he win a spot, a good spot? And he did. And kudos to him. And I'm really happy with Marty and the coaching staff with identifying what they had in this guy and him stepping up and earning a spot with Demidov. But, as far as like Hage may not be ready next year. Will Flo be ready? Maybe. Thorpe won't, is at least another year off. I think next year maybe, Beck Beck will be important. He'll have to, because starting next year he'll be waiver eligible, I guess. So Beck and Davidson will be. It'll be important camps for them. Obviously, Engstrom will need to win a spot. All three waiver eligible next year. I'd have to check, but I think probably. So it'll be interesting for those three. But I mean, if you look at all the, like with Newhook back and with Deneau on the team, if Texier's back, like what are the spots for a Hage? There's Bolduc and the other top five. He may have to be a year. It'll be a year probably at the AHL level, unless we'll see what deals they make coming up here. I expect something to be done with Line A. I don't expect him back, but just from a numbers perspective, there may not be a spot for Hage just yet because of NHL contracts and waivers and all that stuff, right? You don't want to be losing assets for nothing necessarily. That's not even talking about, Sammy Blaze of the world, who looked decent last night. Not a lot of NCAA players can come directly into the NHL. Yeah. No, that's right. Isaac Howard's a good example. He's in the AHL. That's why it surprised me last night when Craig said, he could be not only on the Canadiens at the end of the year, but second line center. Whoa, slow down. I don't think that's happening at the end of this year. For me, it's just it's a underappreciation for what Kapanen's doing. Just another example of how underrated still Cappy is in a lot of media circles. By the way, I think we were barely over 25 now. Oh, there you go. So getting older, right? Bunch of old fogies are over 25 now, the roster. Ooh, scary. And that's the other thing I wanted to do as one of the things when you're comparing the Leafs and the Habs. Just hang on a second. I'm just checking. Average age this year is between 28.7 and 29.4, according to AI for the Leafs. So let's say 29 to 25, basically. It's 4 years difference in the average age of the Canadiens and the Leafs. So there's the other thing, right? That's pretty crazy. That's pretty significant. So, all right. Well, I mean, hey, I'll spend another 17 minutes on here. What the heck? I love co-acting with everyone here, and this has almost become addictive. A lot of the same people on here too. I got nothing else on the plate right now. I had lunch, so I'll go for another 17 minutes, guys, or 16. Make it 2.5 hours. No post-game show tonight. Almost feels weird the Habs not playing. Right now, Cappy, Demi, Beck, Engstrom, Fowler, Dobish. 4 to 6 rookies on average dressing room since Newhook and Doc went down. Wild, eh? Yet they're right up they're right in there. Hey, who's this? Francois? $5. Working hard, gotta pay. There, finally got a donation. $5 for 2 hours. 2 hours and 15 minutes of work. Yeah, that's about right. $2 an hour. That's about what I deserve. Thanks, Francois. I appreciate it. 5 rookies currently on the team. How many more next year? Yeah. Well, I don't think there'll be too many next year. I mean, frig. Where's the spot for Davidson? It'll be tough. As much as I like him, maybe. Florian, maybe. Beck probably has the best chance next year. Reinbacher, I guess I should remember Reinbacher, right? Reinbacher would be the best bet to. Reinbacher will be on the team next year. That I have no doubt. Reinbacher, for sure. And Fowler, does he play enough games this year not to qualify as a rookie next year? We'll see. We'll see. How many games? Is it different for a goalie? Or do they have to play like 25 or whatever the AI is so handy these days, eh? Yeah. Okay. So Fowler's probably a rookie next year because he'd need to play 25 this year. So at this point, maybe. Well, it depends. I mean, if he keeps getting shutouts, he's going to be the starter here. He could end up playing 30 plus this year. But yeah, so probably Fowler, Reinbacher, Beck. Beck will Beck be eligible next year? 6+ in 2 separate seasons and be under 26. Jeez, Beck might be a rookie next year too. He never played 6 in any other season, right? This will be his first year playing 6, I do believe. Oh no, he played 12. That's right. No, okay, Beck won't be a rookie eligible next year then. He's blown it. Hey, yeah, I'm just tired. I'm starting to perk up a bit. Oh, it helps when I get a little bit of people do a little contributing here. Thank you. Merry Christmas for it, George. I appreciate the $10. Japanese is so underrated. I'm also in Ottawa, and everyone here that IMK's he's nothing. By the way, the $6.99 is populared by my phone. Not quite. I don't quite understand your message, Danielle, but hey, $6.99 is cool, man. That's over and above what I deserve. Thank you. Thank you for the contributions, guys. Maybe I'll go another 20 minutes. I always feel guilty after I get money at the end and then leave. Unless it's a 10-second show, then I don't have a problem with it. I made $15.10. Dick, Dick made $15 for doing the intro, Liam's intro. I should send it to Dick. And Fort George, yes, Merry Christmas to you too, eh? And that goes for everybody. Even you, VDAC. Oh, just kidding, buddy. That's why I'm such an avid defender of the whole staff. You're right on the team as a whole is gelling. The missing D-man was Harris. That's it. Yeah, he was, yeah. Well, easy to forget, right? Good memory. And Jordan, Frank. I got to know Jordan when he was with Northeastern, and what a fantastic young man. Just a gem of a kid. Absolutely adore Jordan Harris, and I wish him all the best. Sorry, got lost to where I was. Oh, VDAC, of course, weighing in with his Cappy. But Cappy, you don't need. Did Anthony Cirelli drive play? VDAC? You see, you're going to get me worked up here. You have a way of doing it, eh? How about Chandler Stevenson on the Cup winner as a second line center? Did he drive play? Braden Shen, play driver on St. Louis' second line when they won the Cup? No, and no. Cup winners. But you don't think what you like, you want a second line center for your Champions League and the Cup, or like it has to be one better than Stanley Cup? Or I'm not quite understanding why you don't think, you think that when you've got two play drivers in Demidov and Slav, why would you need the center to also be a play driver? Because Cappy doesn't have to be a play driver. Patrice Bergeron wasn't a play driver. As first line center on Boston, that was Pasternak. Do you see where I'm coming from here? You get a combination. I know I've explained this probably 50 times so far, but apparently I got to keep explaining it. Balance. Demidov and Kapanen, or Demidov and Slav, can be play drivers because they have a Patrice Bergeron, Anthony Cirelli type center backing them up. Smart, dumping pucks in at opportune times, going to places where they can feed it to him and him scoring. Cappy can be a 30-goal. I think he's proven this year that he can be a 30-goal scorer in this league, who kills penalties. Make a list of NHL centers who have 30-goal capability, kill penalties, and great defensively. VDAC, make a list of NHL centers. If you can come up with more than 60, and you won't even get 6, because there are 60 top 2 centers in the NHL. There's 60 of them. There's probably 40 quality ones, at least 30. If there are 5 NHL centers that score 30 goals and kill penalties, meaning two-way, right? I'd be surprised. But you still don't think that Kapanen can be the number 2 center. It has to be a dangler. You got to have 3 danglers on the same line, right? Don't worry about defense. Just 3 danglers. That's all you can ever have. That's how you win Stanley Cups, right? Second line has to be 3 danglers, play drivers. Who cares about the net at the other end? Well, I disagree respectfully, my friend. Merry Christmas. Dobson is exactly what I thought we were getting. I'm still happy with the trade, but Dobson will play better. Yeah. He can be very good defensively too when he gets more physical. Yeah. Oh no, you know. Um yeah. Just we both really are impressed by Pickford too, right? Um Bryce Pickford might have 20-goal NHL defenseman potential. So as much as I like Dobson, that might be even more valuable down the road, which is good. Yeah, I didn't expect a offensive juggernaut with. I mean, that's Hudson. Hudson's the main guy. I didn't expect Dodson to come in and be better than Hudson offensively, run the first power play. I knew he wasn't physical, but he's 6'3", 6'4" guy, good in transition, rangy, really hard to beat one-on-one. Top 2 right defenseman for the foreseeable future for quite a few years. You know, how many years left on his contract here? Like, I would suspect it would be several years before Pickford would be maybe, surpassing him. I think Reinbacher eventually will be the number 1 right D. But it's possibility that Dobson remains it too. Again, I don't like to be too adamant in one way or another judging these guys, but if down the road Pickford and Reinbacher are better, and you're paying Dobson $9.5 million, up until that point, he's going to contribute and be a key factor for the club. But that's a good thing. That means that Reinbacher and Pickford are special, and then you can look at maybe dealing Dobson to another team that doesn't have Pickford and Reinbacher in their top 2 on the right side. So you don't have to worry about, oh gee, but what if those guys end up being better? That's okay. Then you deal with it at the time. You get rid of Dobson, and there'll be teams out there that want a 6'3", point producing, puck clearing, mobile right defenseman. There'll always be that need. And also in 3 or 4 years, $9.5 million for a top 3 or top 4 for a top 2 right defenseman won't be won't be an outrageous salary by any means. Grant, would you rather trade picks or well-developing prospects? Or well-developed prospects, I guess you were saying? I asked because I believe developed prospects are worth more. I wouldn't trade Pickford instead of our coming first. Yeah, well, you see with the... Yeah. Well, it's not like Pickford's that developed, but mind you, he's a year older, so like he's going to turn pro at the end of this year, right? So it's sort of like he's been 2 years developing, I guess you could say. Yeah, I don't know if I would pick the first, and it depends too. I mean, if the Habs, don't forget, the Habs are 1 losing streak away from picking in the top 10 again, right? Would you trade a top 10 pick before you trade Pickford? Like, well, today, maybe not, but I mean, I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but the Habs still could miss the playoffs, so friggin' tight this year. But I sort of, was bringing that up in the fact that, you know, um, depending on what the other team wants to, right? It takes two to tango. The other team's looking for a player, likes a player, and they don't want a full rebuild. They might find that more enticing than getting a draft pick that could be 4 or 5 years away. So, uh, yeah, or even a young NHL like Struble or something. Like a club could say, okay, I think we're a year away from being playoff contention. We could use, a left defenseman with some physical. Uh, do we want the first round pick or second round pick, or would we like a kid that we know can step in and play help us right now? Well, yeah, give us Struble or give us Engstrom or whatever the case may be, right? Maybe more so Engstrom. Like, there could be teams out there that would say, yeah, we'd rather have Engstrom than your first round pick because you can help us now when you know, we don't want to wait 4 years on a defenseman. We'd like a kid that can play now and in 3 years is in his prime. And when we think we'll be contending, he'll be a key piece and not just coming into the league as a rookie defenseman at that time. Next year, we see Pickford, Protz, Rohr, probably a few more. Yeah, in Laval? Yeah. Yeah, Pickford. Well, let's just go back to my handy-dandy list here. Next year, Pickford, I'd say for sure. Protz. Rohr comes over, I guess. I don't know about Philip Eriksson. I think he might have another year left, right? Did Konyushkov sign another contract? Probably. May never see him. But I think those are the main candidates for next year. And I mean, there's lots of youth on Laval. They're not going to go too crazy, right? With players outside the NHL. We'll see with some other guys too. I don't know if they bring over any Russians or not, but those are the main probabilities. And then next year you see guys like Thorpe get a bigger role too, eh? And yeah, nice looking crop, considering that they traded away their 2 first-round picks last year. Dobson was awesome when the Isles reached the conference finals. Oh no, I'm not giving up on him by any means, for sure. Turning around Laval has been so instrumental to our current success and will be more important as things progress. Yeah. I love these chats, Grant. There are a lot of good people here. Yeah, well, the thing is too, right? When I close up shop, then you guys can't chat anymore, right? Also makes me feel guilty ending it too soon. The young lad's not around this aft, so keep her going for a while here, folks. I wonder why Demonov didn't get a chance in the shootout. Well, if you'd have saw my rant last night, you know I'm in agreement on that. Turning around Laval has been so instrumental to our current success and will be more important as things progress. Yep. And I much prefer the coaching staff. Like, that was, for whatever reasons, Bergevin was not good at hiring coaches at any level, I didn't think. It was his biggest issue, in my opinion. But he won't be making that decision presumably in Buffalo either. Yarmo make that decision. If Yarmo's smart, he won't be consulting Bergie on. Mind you, they won't have the same. Won't have to be French Canadian coaches either. There was that restriction in Montreal, and in his defense, I suppose. AI is the downfall of society. Did you watch The Terminator? Many, many years ago. I'll check it after the show. That would be a nice Christmas present, even if I have to pay. Streaming service, yeah. Or get yourself an IPTV. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I don't know how much time you have to watch hockey, but Laval's fun. Sometimes it's Friday, especially. Absolutely. What's this here? Mr. Gianta. There's a new name. Thanks for the contribution there. I appreciate it, Mr. Gianta. Like, I don't remember seeing your name before, and you're giving me money. Like, you don't have to pay for every comment you make. Oh no, actually you do. Yeah, folks, your messages won't come up here unless you send money beforehand. Then I'll see them. If you didn't know that, okay, that's not going to work. Okay, Doc, one right wing when he returns to the lineup. Yeah, maybe he. But we discussed this a little earlier, and I mean, I forgive you for not being here for the whole 2 hours and 37 minutes. He might. It depends, right? If Caulfield and Suzuki continue to kind of struggle a little bit here with Bolduc there, and they don't want to move Slav back up. The possibilities are Slav going back to that line, Doc going there, and this is if they continue to struggle. What are the other options? Maybe Anderson, he's been there before, give him a few wheels until on the top line until Doc's kind of back, and you're seeing after a few games. I personally wouldn't mind, I'd even consider Anderson for a few games, Doc and Bolduc with Deneau on the third line, and or even Galley on there, or Texier or whatever. But wait till Doc gets up to speed, and then move him up to the top line. But yeah, he's a possibility eventually. Just a little leery about putting Doc up right away against other teams' top lines. But mind you, as I mentioned before, it's not like it would be at center. And that, I think, was asking too much of him when he came back from his first knee injury last year. And they said, okay, you're second line center, come hell or high water. He was minus 20 in the first 20 games, and they still kept him in there at number 2 center when he was not in the best of shape. And, it harmed him. But second line center is a lot different than playing on the wing. And playing with Suzuki and Caulfield, they're good players too, right? So that could offset somewhat the fact that they're up against other teams' top lines. A lot of nights it seems like Kapanen line is up against the first line, which is interesting too. Some nights it's Evans too, but Evans is out now. with Deneau coming in, you could see him, especially at home and stuff, when the Canadians have the matchup, you could see Deneau going out against other teams' top lines, especially if it's a line like if it's Galley, Deneau, and Anderson or something like that. I could see Marty, you know, matching those guys up against top lines because, I mean, they've all done it before. They've all been there before, right? Freaking that year, the Galley and Deneau, it was just outrageous how few goals against they even strength goals against they were on the ice for that year. So I meant to put Kapanen is underrated. I live in Ottawa and everyone here thinks he's nothing. Oh, I was wrangling my son while trying to type. Oh, okay. Oh, you were saying Kapanen. Okay. Yeah, I'm in Ottawa too, and it's the I don't know, the media. The media's it doesn't help. Okay, what's everybody laughing about here? Maybe about the donations. Hey Grant, what do you do with Lonnie and Doc when they come back? Hey Frank V, there's a new name. I hope you were just listening because I think I answered Doc. As far as Lina goes, unless the power play is really struggling, I don't know. There's a spot for Line in the lineup, is there? Like that's the real question mark here. Yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of Malkins out there as 2C. Most second line centers are barely 60-point players. Well, that's well put. Yeah. It's, there's this misconception that your second line center has to be 70, 80-point defense or center. And did you look at teams with that, like Toronto the last few years? How many playoff series did they win with second line center that get 70, 80 points? Like that's it's Sam Bennett, 50 points, 2 cups in a row. Cirelli, I think one year he had 30 points and he centered the second line with Stamkos, right? Stamkos did his offensive thing. Cirelli took care of all the underappreciated stuff. 2 cups. Anthony Cirelli, check out his stats in the years they won the cup. They weren't very high. Cappy might get more points as a rookie than he did. I think one year he had 30 some points or something, and he was a second line center on a cup winner. Chandler Stevenson, never a 60-point scorer. Centered the second line on a Stanley Cup winner. And as Pierre saying, like Cappy over Cirelli, well, yeah, there's more. Well, definitely has more goal scoring ability than Cirelli. I like Cirelli a lot, but very similar defensive players there. And here, yeah, this is, exactly like Lehkonen playing in top 6 roles, right? I mean, Lekkonen's been compared to Cappy, but there is a difference there. Lecky not being a center either, right? But, Dupuis with Crosby, I mean, you go on and on. You don't need 3 guys driving the play on one line. Well, you don't want 3 danglers on a line, really. But Taras Bergeron wasn't a dangler, had Marchand and Pasternak. Like, I see a lot of similarities between Bergeron and Cappy. And you know what? If he is playing with Slav and Demidov in 2 years, he's going to get a lot of points. Because just like Bergeron, you know, benefited from playing with Marchand and Pasternak, but even with playing with those guys, he only had one 70-point season. But that was first line center. We're talking second line center here. Is Struble the odd man out? Yeah, probably. Looks like he's one of the odd men out. There's going to be several. With Gooley back, right? Has Pickford ever played forward? Oh, here we go again. No, he's a defenseman. And a damn good one. His defensive play is kind of underrated too. Yeah. Cappy salary. Well, hey, second line center on an entry level contract. Why would you want to change that? They're already over the cap right now. It's not because of Cappy. Get it? Cappy. Anyway. Basically, if Dobson is your number 5 D-man and Hage your number 3 right winger, you will win multiple cups. Well, maybe. And I believe this is where we're heading with a bit of luck. Well, regardless, Jarosky might be on the third line. Hage might be on the third line. Pickford might be a third pairing 15-goal defenseman that's lethal on the power play, or Dobson might be, regardless of who those names are in those spots, they're going to be pretty damn good. So, yeah. And it's at that point where he's okay. They got the depth, they got the quality up top, and all through the lineup, like Florida, right? Lundell and Listerainen on your third line, and right, solid guys in your third pairing helps you win cups. Is it possible? Intrusive thoughts, undefeated. Is it possible Fowler never goes back to Laval? Yeah, damn right it's possible. I hope it's probable. Means that he's the real deal. Ben Danford plus B plus. Yeah, well, hey, I didn't want and I even prefaced it when I put it up there. So, late first round pick will just to keep the Toronto Trolls from getting too upset. We give him B plus. Hey, he's on the friggin' he's on the World Junior team, so he's not a bum. I thought they picked him too high, but he's a solid defensive defenseman. And I felt sorry for them, and I said, well, geez, they're only going to have 2 guys, better than a B. So, we'll give him Danford B plus. I hope that explains it for you there. By the way, I don't like people that lull me too much, but I'll allow it this one time. I bet Pittsburgh would rather have Engstrom than a pick as one example. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's a good point, Francois. There's so many players with the Habs and in the Myers that they might have to trade some prospects for 2027 plus picks. Yeah. Yep. Like, people losing their shit over trading a second round pick for you know how quickly or how easily they could get that second round pick back. But I'd rather have a second round pick in 2028 at this point and not have to worry about the 50 contracts and signing him till like 2030 at this point, because there's so many friggin' good young players, right? Lots of things to consider. We're playing chess here, not checkers. It's not just black and white, right? These chats are getting addictive. I wonder how I'm going to kick this one. Any thoughts, Grant? Just keep showing up. No, my thought is just stay addicted. Francois is right. Have to try to turn the asset at some point. Yeah. Think about the people here, including the host, of course. That's me. We think for ourselves away from the media BS. There's obviously a craving for that as a Habs fan. There you go. Anybody? We've got 1,092 people watching on X. Why don't you join us here? We've got 10 times as many people watching on X as 15 times more. Come on now. Join the live chat. Give us your thoughts. We don't bite. Pretty good friendly group here. We only insist that you send money after five messages. That's it. That's that many. So we'll have to trade some prospects down the road or risk losing them for nothing. Yes, that's right. Oh, VDAC, my buddy, $13.99. Thanks. We don't always see eye to eye, VDAC, but you're a good man. Thank you very much. And you think, you're not a sheep, right? Independent thinker. Might be a bit annoying at times. I'm sure I'm annoying at times too. But hey, you're very opinionated, and you handle my disagreements rather well. Thank you. Thank you for the contribution, VDAC. I always appreciate it. I keep getting accused by my friends that I have rose-colored glasses for the Habs, but I don't think I'm being intellectually dishonest when I say I've never been more excited about the future. Well, yeah. I'm trying to think. When was I more excited? 76. When Lafleur and Shutt just broke out Larry, and they drafted like Peter Lee from my Ottawa 67s and Rod Shute, who had 70 goals in the OHL that year, Sudbury. Peter Lee had got 82. I mean, neither of them ended up working out, but 76, I was more excited. Lapointe was in his prime. They had Cornwallier. Pierre Mondeau had just been drafted. Risebrough was a top 10 pick. Gainey, top 10 pick that looked like he was going to be good. Mario Tremblay, Yvon Lambert. I was more excited in 1976 than I am right now, but not far off. Not far off, I'll tell you. Showing my age there, eh? I guess this kind of gives it away. Gallagher doesn't play enough minutes to match up against top lines anymore. Yeah, well, yeah. But he hasn't been playing with we've given Galley the death sentence probably several times over the last 5 years, and he keeps fooling us. So I never say never with that guy. We know he keeps himself in good shape, right? Um, and him and there's just something with those two playing together. Like Deneau back with him, I wouldn't be surprised. But no, I don't expect them, Jay. And Jay, you are always a contrarian, but that's fine. You come on here and you don't say much, but when you do, it's usually to disagree. Just letting you know. Um, he um, and with me saying like once in a while go up against top lines. Yeah, I'm not saying all the friggin' time, but you get those guys back together and the old chemistry comes back. Like Deneau can shut down to this day. McKinnon said it. There's not a guy that he dislikes playing against more than friggin' Deneau. That's McKinnon. So those two, if they, sometimes it's just chemistry, like just like the Kapanen line coming together there. There looks like there's whatever the magic elixir there, the chemistry, right? And then you get the right guy playing with them, like Doc or freaking Anderson or whatever, Bolduc or whoever. I'd be comfortable, as long as they're playing well together. Gallagher's smart and freaking competitive, and that'll get you a long way, right? So, no, I would not be uncomfortable with a line with Gallagher, Deneau, and whoever going up against top lines when need be, because it wasn't that long ago that those two together gave up, like, was it 3 even strength goals the entire season or something crazy like that? So I'll respectfully disagree, Jay. Just keep those glasses on, died on. I will keep mine on. Line A out to Carolina. Line A's Viking ship has sailed. Probably gone. I mean, what else? They don't have much choice. When he comes back, like, I'm no capologist, but I do believe they're going to be screwed, glued, and tattooed, are they not? Oh, JTL, is that all you do, is just try to disagree with everything? No. Cirelli, that first friggin' year, did not have 70 points. But you have to disagree, right? Oh my God. I've checked this like more than once. $44 points, 29-20. Stanley Cup champion. He had 40 points. 2021, 22 points. So if you're saying like combined the two seasons, he had 70 points. Even that, he had 66. So you just like to argue for the sake of arguing sometimes, Jay. This is magnitudes different from when I was hoping Louis LeBlanc or yeah. Well, somebody was saying yesterday, Matt Fatbelly, who Matt Bedard was saying, don't underestimate Bergevin, what he did as GM. And somebody said he inherited a great team. And like, what the hell are you talking about? The top prospects in the system, the year I put up like their prospect pool at the time, and it was Gallagher was the top prospect. Okay. right, but Louis LeBlanc was number 2. They had Nathan Beaulieu, Jared Tenorti. Like, it was crazy what they just how bare the cupboard was. And I do believe Bergevin's first draft, maybe I'm wrong, was Galchenyuk, was it not? And yeah, but Louis LeBlanc was the second ranked prospect in the system when he took over. And it was like night and day difference for what he left, what there was for prospects in the system compared to what he inherited. Night and day. Yeah, night and day. And Jay, just going back to here with your, of course, you got to find your gotcha moments here. I'm talking about in the Stanley Cup year, okay? Just so you're clear, the second line centers in their Stanley Cup year played second line on Stanley Cup winners, and that's what we're talking about, right? Like, is that a contender? Is the Stanley Cup winner a contender? Fair to say, right? So in their Stanley Cup years, Anthony Cirelli, 22 points, and was second line center on the Cup winner. Anthony Cirelli, 44 points, second line center on a Stanley Cup winner. Chandler Stevenson did not have 64 points the year they won the Cup. I'd have to go back and double check, but I've already looked before. And no, he was not a 64-point scorer, Chandler Stevenson. Okay, sorry. That one I'm wrong about. He was 65 points scorer. There you go. So you win the prize, Jay. You're right about something for a change. You know what, Jay? You're cruising. Keep it up. Money after 5 posts, I'm ruined. Yeah. 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 For sure. Love to talk sometime. Yeah. Not a sheep at all, sir. I love hockey. Love to talk sometime. Yeah. Well, at least you just don't come on to try to correct things. Like, I'm not going to name names. You're an absolute beauty, Grant. Thanks for these. Oh, geez, I'm over 3 hours now. Oh. You can see why I get a little frustrated after a while with the freaking 3-hour show here. Who else does a 3-hour show? Mitch Melnick. I bet you he makes more money than me, too. Skoy George, 4 of 6 teams made the playoffs. Always seemed easy back then in 76. Yeah. Uncle Muzzy, by the way, thanks for tuning in. See, I don't always know. I'm glad when some people show up that, because it seems like there's just only about 30 people that tune in, because there's about only 30 that, it's probably more than that, but it seems that way. Clearly the most interacting podcast with the chat here. Well, I wanted to I would see a third line of Newhook, Deneau, and Doc eventually. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll even argue with you too. I mean, what more do you want, right? Oh, I just got a new Uncle Muzzy's a new member. Thank you, Uncle Muzzy. Cups are more important than points. Yeah, I guess so. But the fact being, and even Chandler Stevenson wasn't a 70-point scorer. You know what? Kapanen playing with Demidov and Slav has 65-point potential, JTL. You know, like if your big argument here is, well, Chandler Stevenson had 65 points. Well, guess what? Oliver Kapanen has 65-point potential playing with those two guys in a couple of years, if that's the most important thing. But the fact is, Bennett 50, 45, I think it was. Cirelli 22 and 44. You know, Chandler Stevenson 64. Well, I can consider him an offensive juggernaut. The fact is, none of these guys were 80-point scorers or even 70-point scorers. And Patrice Bergeron was a first-line center on a cup winner and only scored 70 points once in his career. So it just, that's my, my point trumps correcting me on, even though you incorrectly corrected me 3 out of 4, the point remains that you don't have to be a 70, 80-point second line center to center a contender or even a cup winner. Keep it up, Grant. My dad and I are huge fans of the show and of the team. Go Habs, go. Oh, so your dad's great Uncle Muzzy? Say hi to great Uncle Muzzy for me. Grant, time for a nap. Yeah, you need to go have a nap? No, I just need to not read Maura J's responses and I'll be fine. Maybe I put him, no, whatever. The point is, not very often a 2C has 60-plus points. Thank you, Sheldon. Wait till Cappy's getting 75 to 80. Yeah, well, there. Yeah, exactly. Let us not forget the NHL plays 84 games starting next year. There you go. Oh, Cappy could be 72-point scorer someday. Well, there you go. This is it. Oh, Jay quieted down. Yes, Simon. That's the only time in the last 8 years that somebody actually had decent point totals at second line center on the cup winner. So, what, 1 out of the last 7 years or 1 out of the last 6? So, it helps prove my point that you don't have to be. And I think maybe, I'm spitballing here, but I'm thinking maybe having McKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar helped a little bit. Or was it all just because Kadri had his 87-point season? I think it helped that they had McKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar, among others. Right? All right. Thing about Cap is, this should be his floor. Question for you, Grant. What is your most proud pick with the Habs? What do you mean, Simo? When I was scouting, you mean? Because I didn't really have, I was a part-time scout. It's not like I got up there and said, okay, this is the guy we're taking. Trevor, go sit down. I'm talking now. This is who we're, that's not how it worked. And the years I drafted, years that I scouted, they didn't, it was the dark years, okay? They were trading away. Gillette was running the show, and he wanted to win now, and they were trading away all their top 80 picks for the most part. And yeah, and they weren't great drafts either. Dustin Walsh was the one player that I'd say I had a little bit of input into, and he suffered a back injury like his first year of college and or something like that, and was done. So hard to say, if he'd ever amounted to anything or not. But if that's what you're talking about, that's looks like Grant outworked us all again. Did all the messages. Nicely done. Yep. And we're up over 3 hours here, folks. 4 o'clock. Okay, well, 1,200 people tuned in, most of them on X. That may have been Kadri's best season. Yeah, there's that too. Kadri had a lot of non-70 point seasons too, right? You get out on a power play with the likes of McKinnon, Makar, and Rantanen, you're gonna pick up a few points. Last time I checked, regular season points don't count in the playoffs. Very good point. You casual tennis noob. By the way, are you Canadian tennis noob? Oh, you're probably like, you play tennis more so than I'm a huge tennis fan. I have been since the Jimmy Connors, Chris Everett days, so goes back a long ways. Me and the wife watch a lot of tennis, and we're excited about all the Canadians. We're in it's good days for Canadian tennis these days. There's some good players. Victoria and Felix, Dennis, Layla, on and on. Line numbering as a whole bothers me. Yeah, I know. What kind of cross-country skis are good for a beginner? We're finally getting some snow back. I got to go out tomorrow. I wouldn't have done this for 3 hours if we had no snow. I'd have gone. I won't be having a 3-hour show tomorrow afternoon. Tennis, originally in Montreal, now in Toronto. Good. I used to play a lot of tennis. My knees tell me differently now. No, but yeah. I don't like the numbering line thing either, Ideally, you've got 2A, 2B, right? Or even 1A, 1B. Like right now, frig, you could almost say the Habs have 1A, 1B. The way the Slav, Demidov, Cappy line's playing. What kind of cross-country skis? Well, I don't know. I just use waxless. Like touring, I would recommend touring. Waxless touring skis. Make sure they're about the length of about what your height is. And go giver. What I do is I go to like Play It Again Sports and get used stuff. If you're just a beginner, I wouldn't spend $500. I even use 3 points still. I don't, frig. I'm not one of those guys like, like when I go on my bike, I got a $40 mountain bike, wear my $8 shorts and a t-shirt, right? My running shoes. And you see a buddy beside you there with his $2,700 bike and $300 spandex shorts and the helmet. I never wear a helmet either. I know I should, but at this point, I don't think I can do any more damage. And skis, just, don't spend a whole bunch. If you got to Play It Again Sports, go get yourself a pair of skis and boots for $150 and go have some fun, because you might find that you don't like it all that much, and then you're out $500. You can't be serious. You can't be serious. Only on HabsCast where you get this quality and quantity. Oh, well, you can be serious. That's seriously good. Let's not forget how young the kid line is. They'll be better as time goes on. Yep. Your point is good. A second line center doesn't need to be. Thank you. We have a lot of snow in James Bay. Yeah. Okay, George, you confused me there. I said something about, and then I said you were in James Bay or Hudson Bay or whatever, and then you said you weren't. Now you're saying you are again. Maybe I misinterpreted. Yeah, it helps to have McKinnon, McCarr, and Landeskog. Yeah, that's true. There was Landy around too. Yeah. Well, I did mention Rantanen. Don't get me Rantanen again. 5 more minutes. That's it. Okay. So get your questions in now. No more compare me to John McEnroe or you'll be cut off. The player you scouted became exactly what you were thinking. Oh, okay. So not with the Habs necessarily, because I've put out draft rankings for I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Little airplane. We're getting into some airplane references now, Johnny. Johnny, you always come up. You won't say anything until the end of the show, and then boom. You're going to ask me a question now, too, aren't you? Just when I'm getting ready to leave, Johnny will come up with the question. You don't like me to leave, do you, Johnny? Let me think about this. Geez, I don't know. I mean, well, I was proud of Slav, ranking him first overall in January, taking all the heat, remaining adamant. No, this guy. I mean, I was pretty proud of Seneca. I ranked him top 3. I had him top 5 in like March, and again, see every list I think had him in the 20s and 30s. I mean, there's examples from every year. Robert Thomas, I had 8th overall. He dropped to 20. I actually thought the Canadians were going to get him 1 point. He didn't quite drop to 25. I was pretty proud of that one. Jake Sanderson, another guy, like in March of his draft year, I had him top 3. And lists at the time, if you go back, he was in the 20s. Some guys had him in the second round. And again, all the draft nicks are, oh, how can you, this guy has no offensive upside, da, 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 da. That one turned out pretty well. Mason McTavish, probably about March, I had him top 3. I ended up having him top 2 in his draft year. Another guy that, later on, some maybe had him top 10, but you saw mostly, 8 was about as high as you'd see him, just about every independent list. And I had him number 2, and he's worked out well. So, I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of them. I ranked Bouchard and Dobson 5, 6, and number of guys that went ahead of them didn't actually pan out too well. I'd have to go back over drafts, but and conversely, I've had, there have been the misses. there's always those, right? KK, I had too high, obviously, and people will always just point that out, right? Oh, well, you had KK. Yeah, I did, but I also wasn't wrong. He went top 3. Ultimately, my ranking was wrong, but where he went in the draft wasn't wrong. Wyatt Johnson, I had top 13. Jason Robertson, right around 20. He went like 39. I remember watching him in his draft year, and it was just, geez. Yeah, his skating's not great, but man, what a sniper. And look what he's doing now. Like Dallas got to, they drafted really well with those 2 guys. Marchenko, I had top 18. No, I had him 16th, and he went to Columbus at 49 or something like that. I was proud of that ranking. Nyes, 18th overall. I've recounted that one on here before. I thought, Bergevin would never freaking trade up, and he had 2 picks in the 60s, I think. I mean, he ended up getting Kapanen, right? But, could he not have used the kidney pick and a 3rd round pick to move up like 5 spots and get Nyes? But he wouldn't do it. Like when he kept dropping, I had the guy 18th. Actually, the guy I wanted them to pick with the Mayu pick at 30 was Nyes. And he kept dropping, and Toronto got him. And that one pissed me off. So I don't know. Proud of all of those rankings. And there's probably a few that I'm not thinking of, but I'm not sure that I would rate any of them. I'm more proud of it one more than any other, but it is a good feeling when you rank somebody that other lists don't rank as high and they do well, or NHL teams don't pick as high and they do well. But that's what makes it fun to do when you end up being right on some guys. But conversely, ranking someone like Pettersson 15th overall, Elias Pettersson. And, being wrong on that one, big time. He went 5th or 6th. I thought he was too fragile and would wear out, but had some pretty good seasons in Vancouver. There's a few like that. And of course, KK. That one seems to, people remember the one, the wrong one more so. They like to, and they'll remind you of that one more so than the ones you get right. That's fine. It helps keep you humble. And it keeps you mac and grouchy. Hey, Pierre? Apart from Stemco, who would be your next Stemco, like steel? Stemco steel? Who would be your next smart top 6 move? See, I can be smart too, Pierre. From the Habs before the Olympics. Crosby. You were the first on Seneca. Yeah. You know what? My very first draft that I was proud of Carlson too. Erik Karlsson had him top 10. But very first draft I did with McKean's, I put out a draft guide. I started their draft guide. And Esposito. Even NHL guys were still saying he was first overall, and it was I think December. And then what Kane did at the World Juniors, you don't rank a 5'9" winger first overall, but we kept seeing it over and over again. Said this kid's got to be first overall, and Kane was 10 on a lot of lists at the time. Espo was still consensus number 1, and started dropping Esposito. Said, no, this guy is not. It's not what he's supposed to be, because the consensus was Angelo Esposito, right? He'd scored 100 points as 16 or something like that, and weren't seeing it. And I put out a list in early January with Patrick Kane number 1, and it got things. It was message boards back then. This was before Twitter. HF boards just imploded. You're crazy. Esposito, da da da. Kane's too small. So that got me, and then as things turned out, Espo dropped to like the 20s. Patrick Kane went number 1. He became a superstar. And it was impetus for me to keep doing this, because, hey, maybe sometimes I am going to be right about this. And eventually, it led to a job with the Habs, and it's a passion. I love scouting. I love doing draft lists, and as we get along here, I'm going to do the World Juniors. I always watch all the games. I'll do a couple of post games after World Junior games too. I imagine most of you will be tuning in, and we'll have some fun with that. Who would you get right now? Yeah. Crosby. There aren't a lot really, like, I don't know. I'd have to think about it a lot, but they don't really need, there aren't many guys that are available, really. Yeah, Merry Christmas. So I'm okay. I guess I better get. Geez, it's friggin' 4:30. Wow, time flies, eh? Addictions. I'll see if I can get through a quick few here, and then I'll head her out. Merry Festivus, Merry Christmas. Okay, guys, see you. Hope I'll do a post game tomorrow night too, right? How can you give your first round for Cottonelle Carlo? How can you give a first for Scott Lawton? GM doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. For the rest of us, happy Festivus. He did it before in Calgary too, so they gave him a bigger job. The Shanna plan. GMs seem to be get very stupid at the deadline. That's why it's awesome how aggressive Hughes is. See a hole, fill a hole. For a second it's going to work out. I hope so. That's very important for an owner to hire the right people. Toronto as an example. Angelo Esposito. Yeah. It was a good lesson for you. And also the Nolan Patrick draft was another good one. Remembrance Day. I'll always remember, put out a draft ranking and Patrick was consensus number one, and that's why I always say, just like with McKenna this year, wait and see. You don't know. And Shane Wright, obviously, because I'd been through it with Esposito, with Nolan Patrick and others, where the media anoints a guy as the consensus first overall pick in like November or in the summer. And I'm watching Nolan Patrick and he's sucking and he's lazy and he's like, how did this guy get 100 points the year before? Kind of like Rubrick this year, 49 goals last year. This year he's a lazy bum. Teams they aren't as patient as they used to be with it. They'll drop a guy like a rock now. Yeah, I'm looking at Patrick and, ooh, no. And then watching Hischier in Halifax, and he's just fantastic. Put Hischier number one in November of that year and dropped Patrick. And again, the feedback you get, because you get it drilled into you, right? You're looking at lists and your media. Well, it can't be anybody but Nolan Patrick, number one. I wrote an article at Christmas time saying, Makar be better than Nolan Patrick. And oh my goodness, if you Google it, there's still a thread up, I think, on Reddit or something, where they're responding to it and just talking about how freaking nuts I was to even suggest such a thing, that Cale Makar might be better than Nolan Patrick. And it's just, again, it's a good example of where just don't assume that what you read and what that it's going to go that way. We're out there scouting and we're looking at these guys and working our ass off for a reason. And, just because the media is saying Shane Wright's consensus number one, Nolan Patrick's number one, you're seeing these independent lists. Don't, keep an open mind, because at the end of the day, it may not be how it goes down. It could end up being different. Okay, you got me going down the draft rabbit hole, but I could talk draft all day. All right, we're up to 3:33. Quickly try to get through here and we'll wrap it up. Was way worse than Bologna, let's just say. Yeah. Simone, thanks a lot. Very generous. Yeah, I guess I answered your question, eh? After all there, Simone. Yeah. What a great afternoon with my friends. There you go. Patrick's grandpa played for the Bombers, yeah. Oh, well, and James and, yeah. Yeah, they were Winnipeggers, eh? Grant, you and the family have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday. Looking forward to World Juniors. You too, Paul. And thank you for all your contributions there. You've been quite generous, and I really appreciate it. Habs should pursue Crosby. Just don't trade Hage and Zorowski. Yeah, McEnroe was something else, eh? Most entertaining, 1,000% of the time. Yeah, he was a character. Hey, wore his heart on his sleeve. I'm a bit that way too. It's just how we're wired. You don't get you get the real thing with me, right? Some people don't like that. Some people do. It's the way of the world. Um, Makes for a more entertaining. If glad we're not all the same, right? There's a nice mishmash, just like the Habs, just like the Cappy line. Nice balance, right? Okay, folks. I may not be able to walk when I get up here. I've been sitting so long. I think I got through everything here. Thank you for the donations. They're always appreciated. Although may have inspired me to friggin' stay on for 3.5 hours, and I don't know that that's necessarily good, but it's appreciated. And hey, going 3.5 hours and everybody still being around, I guess the YouTube numbers won't be too bad, and they'll even throw me a few bucks for all the views, so that's good. Eli Nastasi was nasty. Yes. McEnroe. I was a Borg fan, actually. That's how I'm wired, especially when I play sports. Oh, yeah. Yep. I was quite competitive myself, believe it or not. The guy was Psycho Live from time to time. Fantastic player to boot. Yeah, and there's a great documentary if you ever see it with Borg and McEnroe and how they became such good friends. They were like completely different on the court, but Borg, he talks about how he was that way too when he first started out, but then he learned just to hold it in. But he really respected McEnroe, and they became biggest rivals, but they became good friends. There's also a really good doc, and it's very similar, in a very similar vein, with Navratilova and Everett, with Navratilova being the fiery one on the court, and Everett being subdued, and them now becoming really good friends. And both documentaries are excellent, and they're just from the human aspect. They really where different personalities can mesh together and develop bonds and friendships that last forever. All right, folks, that's a wrap. Fair to say. I think I went long enough, eh? You guys get your addiction filled there? I hope so. All right. Have a pleasant afternoon or night or wherever it may be where you are. Haven't seen what's his name? Cool guy from Britain the last few days. Yeah. 3 hours and 39 minutes gone that I can never have back. But you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. All right. We're down to 40 people on here. I think it's time to wrap it up. Guys, gals, thank you for watching. See you tomorrow night after the Bruins Habs game. And bye for now.